Losing a loved one will always be tough, so we understand how bad it is for Sarin, who not only lost Irin, her elder sister, but also her mother. Due to her losses, she had become very thin, and no one can blame her. After all, she was very close to her late mother and sister. So close that even at her mother's funeral, she is with her late sister's son. The little guy's name is Hayan, and Sarin wants to take him in. No one feels that's a good idea, however, due to the boy's illness and the fact that Sarin has yet to pay off all her mother's debts. Rumors have it that there's also more to Sarin, as she sits there, listening to the people gossip about her and her situation. She hates listening to their gossip, along with the sound of the rain pouring down today. Fast forward to a few days after her mother's funeral, Sarin is on a flight heading to an undisclosed. During the flight, she remembers her sister always telling her she always chooses the worst option in any situation. She also warned Sarin to avoid a certain man no matter what, but she has to disobey her sister's dying wish. She has to allow her to protect Hayan. What she doesn't know is that this decision she has made will lead her to a very intimate future. Finally, she arrives at her destination, Eden City. It is a place covered in drugs, prostitution, and gambling. There's this saying that goes around there that once you enter this vile city, there's no way out. Yet Sarin came here, ignoring her safety and putting her nephew first. For strength, she pulls out a picture of her late sister and Hayan, viewing it as she wonders if she is being too careless. All of a sudden, a doorman approaches her and informs her that she can't just stand outside the building. He seeks to know if she is here for the hotel or the casino, but Sarin just apologizes to him and leaves. As she disappears into the cold night, another doorman points out that she had been coming and doing the same thing she did today for 3 days. Nonetheless, the other doorman thinks that she is either a gambler or a drug user, or maybe she is here to see their boss. All this happens while Sarin staggers away in the blistering cold. Suddenly, she spots an old man begging for alms who distracts her. As a result of the distraction, she misses her step and slips. Nevertheless, to prevent herself from falling, she holds on to a light pole. She just dodged a bullet back there, so she relaxes and catches her breath, intending to continue her walk afterwards. If only it would have been that simple. She, unfortunately, gets her hand stuck to the frozen light pole and scolds herself for making such a costly mistake. As she complains to herself, a lavish car closes in on her, with its passenger staring at her. His eyes glow ember as he watches closely, right before his car passes by her and soaks her with snow. To Sarin, her bad day just got worse. She is not only stuck, but now soaked and cold. This makes her think about her decision to come to Eden City. It turns out that she spent her entire budget blindly just to get here. Now she begins to wonder what she is doing here. She is still thinking deeply when a man in corporate clothing and a cold tone approaches her and asks her if she is okay. It's a shady city, so we can't blame Sarin for immediately increasing her guard and claiming she is okay. She even struggles to get unstuck from the light pole, while the man watches her with a dark grin on his face. It's obviously the man who was watching her earlier, and he offers to pay for her to launder her clothes he just messed up. Immediately, Sarin knows she has to get out of this helpless position she is in and forcefully pulls her hand off the light pole. Although she ends up hurting her hand, she maintains her claim that she is fine and asks the man to leave. The creepy guy refuses, still watching Sarin closely, when she decides to peep and see who the man pestering her is. To her surprise, she realizes that this villain-like person is Owen, the man she has been hoping to see since she got here. She can't believe she is meeting him this easily and stands there frightened, only for him to pull out some dollar notes. He claims it's for her laundry, urging her to take it before he changes his mind, but she stands there, unsure of what to do. Her late sister had recorded in her diary that Owen should be avoided at all cost, and she was right. As he keeps pressuring her to take the money, she is overwhelmed by his immense pressure, comparing him to a devil she can't resist. Still, she needs the money, which is why she stretches her uninjured hand for him to give it to her. When Owen sees this, he pulls back the money. His actions confuse Sarin at first, but then she understands what he is trying to tell her. Since she is desperate, she stares at her trembling, injured hand for a bit and stretches it. This is a sinister thing to do, but Owen just smiles gladly. before dropping the money on her injured palm. To her, he speaks like a coaxing animal and has Eden City under his thumb. She sees him as a devil who is able to control this dark city and buy people's pleasures as he walks back to his car. The man is already a lot as he is, yet that's not all to him. There is also this rumor that he feeds his victims to his hounds. Because those hounds are Dobermans, he got the nickname Doberman Owen. Sarin is still taken aback by her encounter with this ruthless man. She knows he is bad news, but still he is her reason for coming to Eden City. Sadly, now that she has met him, she doesn't know what to do next. Obviously, she didn't come all the way here for such a brief introduction-less interaction, but she has always made the wrong choices until now. However, to prevent herself from making any further mistakes, Sarin decides to put her life in the hands of fate. She does this the only way possible, determined to try her luck while she walks past the doorman at Owen's casino. She wants to give gambling a shot and test her luck once more in this cursed city. With that in mind, she takes the blood-stained dollar notes, slams them at the counter, and demands a chip worth $500. She is putting all the cash she has left on the line, while wondering if it's best for her to go back home or for her to try and meet Owen again. Well, if she is fortunate, she will get to run into him again. But for now, she has to focus on her game of roulette. Before the game starts, one of the casino's staff asks the players to place their bets. The request leaves Sarin confused about the number she should bet on. She is still thinking about this when a large man bumps into her, causing her chip to fall on the number 11. When she looks to the person who bumped into her, she sees a huge kingpin-like man staring down at her and decides to let it slide. Nevertheless, she cannot take back her bet, because he plays his and the staff goes on to spin the wheel. Sarin watches cautiously, praying under her breath that this goes her way, and luckily for her, it does. This is the first time since her arrival at Eden City that something goes her way and she is about to celebrate her win when the man the size of Kingpin starts celebrating. At first, Sarin is confused, but then the man gathers all the chips, causing her to argue that she bet on number 11. The man just scoffs at her, claiming he bet on that, before coldly accusing her of being foolish enough to drop her chip while trying to place a bet. Still, it's clear from the evil smile he has on that he knows he just swindled her. However, Sarin doesn't get it yet, until she down and spots a $500 chip similar to hers. The casino staff also sees the chip, so Sarin knows she is about to lose all she just won. To prevent that, she argues that the man swapped the chip, meaning it's his that's on the floor. She also argues that the CCTV camera must have captured everything and wants to pursue the argument when one of the customers stops her. According to him, if Sarin didn't want to be found in the street with a bullet in her, she should drop the case. Another customer supports him, informing her that the kingpin-sized man belongs to the Red Mafia. In other words, he is dangerous and should be avoided at all costs, but the man just laughs mockingly, suggesting Sarin place a bet with the chip she found on the floor. With no other choice left, she squeezes her palm tightly, hurting herself even more as tears fall from her eyes. It was a straight bet. She was going to make a lot of money, and with that money, she would have done a lot to help herself and Hayan. Now, as she stays fixed on the floor, staring at the unused chip, she scolds herself for visiting a place like this when she should have known better. Who would have thought that even her decision to let fate decide was the wrong decision? Even so, she is still thinking of her losses when she hears a loud noise from behind her that stuns her so much that she freezes for a second. Yet, out of curiosity, she checks to see the cause of the noise. To her astonishment, it's Owen. It looks like he just murdered someone, but no one is saying anything or apprehending him. Apparently, his victim had tried to manipulate one of the casino games and he did it clumsily. Nevertheless, as he delivers his ruthless judgment on the customer, his ember-glowing eyes lock on Sarin. He can see she looks flustered and the man behind her looks uneasy, prompting him to suspect something is wrong. In that light, he approaches them and frostily asks if there is an issue. The kingpin-sized man, knowing who Owen is and what he is capable of, mixed with the fact that he knows what he has done, starts panicking. While panicking, however, he tries to explain to him that all is well. During this time, Owen's staff are taking out the collapsed customer and the fat man doesn't want to be next. Unfortunately for him, there is a blood stain on one of the chips and the Doberman spots it immediately. He then picks up the chip and announces that there is blood on it before going to check the kingpin-sized man's palms. At this point, he can tell he is in serious trouble. Yet after close inspection and realizing that the man's palms are both stainless, Owen smiles at him. The confused man weakly smiles back before the Doberman signals for a knife, stretches out the man's hand, and runs it through his hand. All this happens right in front of Sarin, who watches in horror as the man cries out in pain. Owen, unmoved and in a sinister tone, tells the man that it looks like he won because there is blood on his hand now. He then lets them help the kingpin-sized man out before handing over the clean $500 chip to Sarin. He wants her to place her bet, but she declines, claiming it isn't hers. Upon her claims, he insists, so she takes the devil's gift and turns to the table. The casino staff then asks Sarin to make her bet. She just freezes due to panicking, but that makes Owen press her further. Even when she tries to tell him she'll lose, he firmly asks her if that wasn't her initial plan. His patience is wearing thin as his tone grows colder when he asks her how she can waste his kindness the way she did. Obviously, he is talking about Sarin using the money he gave her to gamble. He also reveals to her that he has been keeping an eye on her, which is shocking, but right now all he wants her to do is place her bet. In the end, due to the intense pressure he is putting on her now, she cracks and chooses to bet on number 11 again. It's a bold move, and even she knows the same number cannot appear twice. Nonetheless, if it does, things will be good for her and Hayan, which is why she prays with tear-filled eyes that this goes her way. Unfortunately for her, it doesn't and lands on number 32, a number away from 11. She is lost, but that's not what scares her. What scares her is Owen, and although he looks calm now, casually taking a glass of wine, making her feel it's over for her now. To her shock, he just uses the wine to wash his hands and glares at her before admitting this encounter was interesting. He had wondered the kind of idiot she was, but now he knows. Sarin doesn't get why this man is just silently going to leave. Sure, she lost at roulette, but she considers herself lucky to have run into Owen. We all know he is the reason why she came here, which is why she makes up her mind to catch him this time. It's with this determination that she charges towards him. Her boldness, nevertheless, is one he doesn't understand, so he smiles and walks away, allowing her to follow. Surprisingly, she tails him until they get to the elevator. It's at the elevator Owen stops, with his henchman on standby, when he asks Sarin if she will stand there silently after following him so far. On hearing this, she attempts to say something but recalls what her sister told her a while back. She had admonished her to be more careful because she tended to make bad decisions. That statement keeps repeating in her mind, as well as the warning lights that her mind flashes at her. Finally, Sarin concludes that talking to Owen is a bad idea, and wants to turn back. Unfortunately for her, before she can leave, he tries convincing her to talk, since now is the best time and he is in a good mood. This is her cue to make a run for it. Instead, she nods her head, unwilling to speak. Her response only angers the Doberman, and the second he glares at her. Before she knows it, Owen's henchman is behind her and shoves her into the elevator. Her situation gets worse when Owen's calm look disappears completely, replaced by a villainous one. He tells her that he had politely asked her to speak up, but since she refused, no one can say what's going to happen now. Still, with the way his henchman handles her, deaf to her demands that he let her go, we know her fate is far from good. Even so, Sarin keeps demanding to be released, only going quiet when they get to Owen's office. She is taken aback by how luxurious it is, soaking in the view of the mood until she hears loud barks from behind her that frighten her. Luckily for her, the dogs just run past her to welcome their owner. These are the dogs he gets his nickname from, but what matters at the moment is how Sarin will get out of this. At the moment, there is no escape for her, so Owen sits comfortably on his chair with his Dobermans by his side. He then glares at her again before sending signals to his henchman, who forcefully takes Sarin's bag from her. She tries to tell him to stop, but he refuses to listen, pouring out the contents of her bag. Before her eyes, like he is deaf to all her cries, the henchman takes her international passport and hands it to Owen. After the exchange, she goes quiet, watching Owen in horror while he goes through her passport. He can see that she came from Korea, which is very far from here, and asks her where her phone is. Now, it's almost as if she is being mind-controlled, with the way she responds that her phone was stolen at the airport immediately after she arrived. When he hears this, he shows a little sympathy for her before his attention goes to her late sister's diary. He is about to open it to read through when Sarin informs him that it'll be impossible for him to read since it is in Korean. At first, he doesn't listen, confirming for himself, after which he sets the diary aside and asks her and repeats his question, demanding to know what she wants to say to him. Yet, even after everything, she refuses to speak. Seeing how stubborn she is being, Owen offers to satisfy her curiosity first. He gets up, taking her by the hair, while she demands that he unhand her. As usual, he refuses to listen to her, taking her to his fancy lavatory, where he places her before a mirror with a small blade held out. He then asks her to stay still, which she does. Although she is afraid, she closes her eyes, not knowing what his intentions are, as she prays to her sister to help her. Finally, she summons up the courage to beg Owen to let her go with tears rolling down her cheeks, but he doesn't respond immediately. When he does, he asks her to open her eyes, which she does. Turns out all he did was give her a trim that leaves her stunned, but he sees it as pretty. She really hates him for this torture. Meanwhile, he sees her as someone who knows her place. Because of that, he decides to make her an offer to work for him. He wants to know if she likes dogs, explaining that he needs a new dog walker because the old one quit. It's not like she has a choice here. Even so, she wants to know what'll happen if she refuses the offer. He responds by telling her that he loves smart dogs, which is short for obey me or you're finished. He then asks her again if she likes dogs while drying her tears with his finger. She knows that the only way she is getting out of this alive is to agree with him, which she does. Owen is happy with her response, letting her go immediately and informing her that he will leave his dogs to her. After this, he exits the lavatory, leaving Sarin to soak in the weight of her response. She believes this is the worst possible thing that could happen to her. After some time, she is at Owen's home, where his henchman returns her diary to her. Sarin, noticing that he hasn't returned her passport and wallet, asks about them. Unfortunately for her, he tells her that his boss will hold on to those things for her. He doesn't tell her how long Owen will keep them, but offers to direct her to her room. When he asks her to follow him, it becomes clear to her that they want her to stay here. No one had told her this, so she complained, only for her complaints to be ignored as usual. He directs her to the designated room, ordering her to go in, which she does. Upon entering the room, she slumps by the door, heaving a long sigh, before concluding that Owen is truly insane. Not only did he force her into an elevator, he messed up her hair, took her passport, and now he got her locked in a room. From her point of view, he is kidnapping her, making him even crazier. Eventually, she decides to go through her sister's diary again. From the contents of the diary, it looks like her sister was in Eden City before she passed, as she wrote that she had made it there. Irin was Sarin's other half, and now Sarin knows she has to be cautious, like Irin warned. She sits there soberly, certain that if her sister had written even a tenth of what she knew about Owen in her diary, she would never have gotten on the plane to Eden City. Since she did, she again sees herself as cursed to always make the wrong decisions. Yeah, it's her fault she is in this mess after all. Nevertheless, these are dangerous times, which is why she has to ensure that until she is absolutely safe, she doesn't get caught. From her little time here, she knows that Owen is too dangerous. He probably knew Irin, or even why she met her untimely end. That's why Sarin has to ensure she isn't found out. Elsewhere, Owen's henchman questions him about what he wants to do with her. He suspects she is just pretending to be innocent, making him unsure that the best course of action is to keep her by his side like this. He adds that Sarin might have been sent by the Russians, prompting Owen to remind his henchman that he was sent by the Russians and ended up working for him. When the man tries to vindicate himself, he interrupts him, replaying every second he spends with Sarin and stating that if she is acting, he will like to give her an award. Just to be safe, he tosses her passport to his henchman, who assures him that he will see what he can dig up on her and heads off to start right away. Now that Owen is alone with his dogs, he begins to wonder if he is keeping Sarin around due to curiosity or caution. He doesn't even know his true reason, which annoys him. In the end, he hopes she has a reason for what she is doing, and the longer she holds on to that reason, the more interesting it gets. Whatever the said reason might be, if it turns out to be harmful, he will deal with it accordingly. The following day, Sarin realizes her door is unlocked, so she peeps to see if Owen is around. As soon as she's certain the coast is clear, she steps out of the room intending to search for her passport now she has the chance. At the beginning of her search, she realizes her passport isn't in any obvious place, but she doesn't give up. In no time, her search takes her to a door she feels leads to Owen's room. She goes to open it, but before she can, a spooky maid asks her if she'd like something to eat. The way the maid popped up from out of nowhere scares Sarin. Still, she maintains her cool. She then asks the maid if the Doberman is home, but the maid just smiles at her. She is trying to look as normal as possible, yet Sarin can tell she is being very cautious. It's not just her, but everyone else in the room, so she can't go into the room now. After a bit, the dogs follow suit, keenly observing her until she feels a pat on her head. It's Owen, and he politely greets her while she silently stares at him, trying to figure out whether he just came from the gym. Well, he is dressed in gym clothes and covered in sweat, so it's easy to understand why she feels that way. Nevertheless, what's hard to understand is the way Sarin observes him in awe as he gulps water. Maybe it's because a part of her feels like the atmosphere at the moment isn't like he just worked out, but like he just finished an intimate moment with someone. She can't really tell, but applauds his physical appearance. To Sarin, Owen has a nice physical appearance, but his personality is the worst. Unfortunately for her, he catches her staring at him and asks her why she is doing so. He also wants to know if she'll just keep standing there like that before he fathers courage to ask him when he'll return her passport. She claims that she had left some stuff at the hotel and needed her passport to get it, but he retorts that his henchmen will help her with that. Sarin argues that his idea is impossible since he doesn't know where she is staying, but he replies that Eden City is too little for him not to figure out something so trivial. Yet again, he glares at her with his pupils glowing amber, making her feel that since he has already found out where she is staying, he might know about Hayan, back in Korea. However, as his maids serve him breakfast, Sarin observes him and concludes he doesn't know that much about her yet. If he did, he would have brought it up by now, right? Nevertheless, she is still thinking about this when Owen signals her to come to him. She is annoyed with the way he is calling to her, warning him not to call her like a dog. At first, he acts like he doesn't know what he did just now before stating that she is not his dog but his dog walker. At the moment, tensions in the room are rising, even though it doesn't look that way, pushing Sarin to confess to Owen that she had an older sister and she used to work in Eden City. She includes the part where she had died not too long ago, but he is more focused on the claim that he worked in the city. Sarin then explains to him that her sister was a casino dealer, but lies that she came here to honor her memory. Owen doesn't buy her story, accusing her of being a terrible liar, but she doesn't get it until he ragingly calls her a ridiculously bad liar. He then orders his henchman, who he addresses as Yuri, to look into Sarin's claims. It's then she notices he is in the room, but before she can do anything else, Owen, without a drop of emotion, orders her to sit down. Initially, she doesn't know where he wants her to sit, but because of the pressure, she just sits on the floor. That's exactly what he wanted, so he calls her a good girl. He then returns to Sarin's story, confirming that what she is trying to say is that she came here on behalf of her sister, but wants to know why she is so focused on him. As usual, she doesn't respond, yet he doesn't push the issue. Instead, he points out the fact that she hasn't eaten since yesterday and offers her a chunk of meat, which she doesn't refuse. She actually attempts to take it, stretching out her hand to take it, but he just shoves it into her mouth, hurting her in the process. While she coughs in pain, Owen tells her that she wouldn't have been in this mess if she left when she had the chance. She already knows this, but as he dabs her lips with a handkerchief, she wonders why her sister would love a man like Owen. Whatever Erin's reason was, Sarin just wants to get out of this place as soon as possible. For that, she needs her passport and asks for it again, claiming that her flight back is soon. Her excuse is futile in the end, as Owen assures her it's not his problem. Even after she warns him that keeping her here can be considered as imprisonment and kidnapping, he is still unmoved. He even admonishes her to go to the police and ask them for help, but warns her that they are on his payroll. This makes it clear to her that the whole city is corrupt, meaning if she is getting out of there, it'll only be when Owen says she can go. For that reason, she asks what she has to do to get her passport back. As soon as she asks him this, the maid brings leashes and Owen tells her that all she has to do is work hard for her freedom. Earlier, when he talked about making her the dog walker, she didn't believe it. Nevertheless, this will be good for her, giving her hope that she will be able to somehow ask for help with the little opportunity she has to leave his house. Although he doesn't know her plan, it's very unlikely that he'd care if he did, and he tells her he will see her later. Soon, the shifts to Sarin's first day as a dog walker. However, it looks more like the dogs are walking her, not the other way around. They are going so fast that it's hard for her to keep up, but she refuses to give up, begging the dogs to stop until she eventually trips and falls. Everyone around her feels sorry for her right now, yet the dogs don't even notice and keep running at full speed. In the end, Sarin can no longer hold on and lets go of the leashes. The dogs notice this immediately, stopping to see what's wrong with her. They can see she is exhausted and go to console her, to her surprise. Nevertheless, she uses this opportunity to beg the dogs to go a little slower. They then return the leash to her one by one before they continue their walk. She notices that the dogs are now walking at her pace, concluding they are actually nice, unlike their owner. Since they are calm, she considers tying their collars to a tree and running to the embassy, but then the dogs get all excited again. Before she knows it, a black luxury. Sarin starts praying that it's not one of Owen's cars, but it actually is. He's currently in the back seat, from where he commends her for not trying to run away. Well, she did expect him to follow her, so she isn't surprised, but she is shocked when he tells her she looks like a beggar. Indeed she does, with the coat she had on since yesterday all soiled now and the fact that she hasn't taken a shower yet. Still, she stands there, feeling bad about the comment until Yuri walks over to her and requests for the leashes. Immediately, she handed them over to him. She is even about to go with Yuri when Owen opens his car door and signals her to come in. She doesn't want to get into the car, but she does. During the drive, he observes a piece of paper before pointing out that Sarin and Irin don't look that alike. Seeing that he has discovered this much about her, Sarin suspects he got Yuri to investigate her. Nevertheless, she tells Owen that she and her sister are fraternal twins, which is why they don't look alike. After her response, the car goes quiet, but then she gets the courage to ask him if he remembers Irin. Unfortunately, he doesn't, and blames it on the fact that remembering an employee out of his many employees is hard. This doesn't surprise Sarin at all. She could tell her sister was a momentary thing for him. She also foresaw her time with Owen going this way, and still mingled with him. Soon, he glances at her and notices that she is lost in thought, so he calmly grabs her face and tells her that he, too, understands how it feels to look different from a sibling. He informs her that he has brothers he grew up with, and they all looked alike, until when they grew older and he started looking different from them. Apart from their physical differences, he believes they also differ because their eyes aren't as clear as his. Their eyes started to become clouded and murky, but even after noticing this, he couldn't do anything. Suddenly, an image of young Owen and his dogs flashes. Sarin is confused. She didn't know this guy had any brothers, but then he tells her he is talking about the dogs. He explains that just narrated a story of his mother and brothers, stunning Sarin, who doesn't get why he is calling dogs his brothers. Away from that, he wants to discuss with her about the little English he heard her speak earlier. He wants to know if she learnt it before coming to Eden City, but she didn't. Actually, she learned English back when she was younger. She had learned it with Irin because they planned on traveling abroad. They believed that was the only way they'd get out of the hell they were in. That hell was her violent and abusive stepfather. Her mother suffered most of it, which was why she begged the sisters not to live like her, and to hurry and get out of the hell they were in as soon as possible. With their mother's blessing and a lot of determination, the sisters tried to run away very many times, yet their stepfather always caught up with them. It wasn't until their mother fell sick and they had to settle her hospital bills that they had no other choice than to go abroad. However, From the time they came up with the plan until they executed it, they desperately learned English. It looked like all their hard work paid off when, one day, Irin came home with the news that she got hired to work overseas. They were both happy about the news and celebrated Irin going to work at a hotel in Eden City that pays well. She will never forget the joyous look on Irin's face that day when she assured her they wouldn't have to worry about their mother's hospital bills anymore. She also will never forget that her late sister urged her to wait for her and promised to make sure she made a lot of money. Now that she thinks about it, back then, they were so happy about getting out of the hell they lived in. They had no idea they were walking into a different type of hell. Nevertheless, Sarin's deep thinking is cut short when Owen's car halts at a luxury shopping district. Soon, she starts to feel uncomfortable, recalling how filthy she is. She curses him silently for bringing her here to belittle her when he, on the other hand, is dressed perfectly for the occasion. Again, she ends up admiring his good looks, wondering how someone so handsome wouldn't even bat an eye if someone died right in front of him. Everything is going great until Owen starts suspecting Sarin. He knows this is a perfect opportunity for her to scream and call for help, but he warns her to stop overthinking things. He assures her it will be best if she doesn't make things difficult for him and promises her that if she behaves, she can get whatever she wants. Obviously, for now, all she wanted at the start was her passport, but an offer like this gives her ideas. She wants to know if money is amongst the things he is offering her, prompting her to confess she needs a whole lot of money. Owen can see from Sarin's response that she is desperate, so he asks her why she sat there and said nothing when the kingpin-sized guy gambled with her chip. She simply states that she didn't cause a fuss back then because she just can't die yet. A response that convinces Owen that he has hired an expensive dog walker. Still, he decides to use her desperation to his advantage, assuring her that all she has to do is behave nicely without funny ideas. If she does, there is nothing that can't be achieved in Eden City, especially when it comes to money. Here, money makes everything go round, which is why Owen is so powerful. All this talk about money pushes Sarin to repeat that he will have to give her lots of money. From his warm smile, we can tell that's no problem for him, but she suspects that the second she submits, he will throw her in the dirt and mock her. Once more, he notices Sarin is thinking deeply and beckons on her. Although she has made up her mind that she will not be submitting, Sarin plays cool for now, following Owen into one of the stores. At first, she can't tell what type of store they walk into, and doesn't even pay attention to Owen's conversation with one of the attendants. She stays distracted until she hears someone direct her to some place in the store. Before doing as the attendant requests, however, she expresses how shocked she is that the attendant is talking to her. Upon that, before she leaves, Owen advises her to make this worth it. And then she goes with the attendant, still confused about what is happening. Turns out he brought her here to get her a change of clothes and accessories that the attendant had prearranged. She instructs Sarin to check them out and see if they are fitting, after which she will send them to the hotel for her. It's a plan she is cool with, so she thanks the attendant right before she gets curious to know where she is and asks the attendant. She responds that she is at Orbis, a place that provides all services tailored to customer preferences. Truly, this place is class, as Sarin can tell, even without a price tag, that one of those clothes should be worth several months of a dog walker's salary. Unfortunately, she notices she has stained it and starts to panic, apologizing to the attendant who assures her that she doesn't have to worry. She can see that Sarin is filthy and informs her that they run showers for clients that are going out right after changing. In that vein, she offers to take her to one of their shower rooms. Nonetheless, she is about to decline but accepts after a quick look in the mirror. Luckily for her, the showers go beyond showers to helping her get dressed up to the point that she comes out looking like a completely different person. When Owen sees her, he says nothing, which is unlike him. Even Sarin notices how strange his silence is while standing there awkwardly, waiting for his remark. Suddenly, he asks her why she is standing before him and instructs her to kneel, reminding her that she agreed to do as she is told. Right now, she sees him as a man who can bend both her will and money at the same time. But that's okay. She abandoned her pride long ago. Actually, she can't tell if she ever had pride to begin with. She experienced bad times, like the time she wanted to end her life and the time her mother fell ill. Everything ended up breaking her, putting her through worse conditions than just kneeling. In the end, as Owen takes off her hat and wears her a necklace, Sarin thinks about how she is so broken that she cannot tell whether the damage is from her mind or her head. Nevertheless, she concludes that there is no pride for her to hold on to left, as she is already too shattered. Owen, on the other hand, is focused on taunting her, telling her that now she looks pretty. Well, luckily for her, Yuri distracts him, handing over his phone to him because he has a call from a man named Boris. Obviously, he takes the call, switching to a different language as he tells Boris that in 10 days, something will enter South Africa under Orbis's name, and the commission will be the same. Soon, he remembers Sarin, treating her like some puppy while he continues his call, leaving her confused about what is going on. It doesn't take her too long to conclude that there's no way out of this, and it looks like the conversation with Owen and Boris is just getting started. They discuss some runaway subordinate and possible ways he should have been punished when he was caught. Away from the phone call and back to Sarin, she starts feeling very uncomfortable. She feels like she can't breathe, when luckily for her, Boris decides to end the call, promising to see him when he gets to Eden City. Yuri, noticing the call has ended, reaches to take the phone from Owen, but he refuses, placing it in Sarin's coat pocket. He warns her to answer the phone whenever he calls, but she doesn't even understand what he is talking about. He then reminds her that she told him she lost her phone, and this was a replacement before declaring, "It's time for them to head home." To humiliate her the more, he pulls on the necklace, even though she warns him that it will snap if he doesn't stop. Suddenly, she feels nausea which she can't control, and vomits on the floor. Instead of consoling her, Owen acts strict, warning her that before she vomited, she should have known it would put her in trouble. Yet, when he notices she's sobbing, he switches his mood, calmly patting Sarin on the back while he pleads with her to stop crying. According to him, he hasn't even done anything yet, and she is already tearing up, but she blames her reaction on the fact that she is feeling a bit unwell. The worst mistake she made today was telling that to Owen, who can now see that he isn't the cause of her tears, and goes back to making her feel like a servant. Because of the aisle treatment, the tears continue to flow, leaving Sarin hurt until they get home. Immediately they arrive. She just hurries to her room and collapses on her bed. She is about to doze off when she remembers something that seems important. By the looks of things, she wants to make a phone call, but she can't tell whether Owen is as jobless as checking the call log or not. It's a risky move, but she takes it, contacting a certain Miss Hong immediately. When the lady picks up, she greets her, only to get scolded loudly by her, as she demands to know why Sarin waited this long to call. She informs her that Hayan has been wanting to speak with her, so she apologizes and asks about him. It's only been 5 days since she came to Eden City, but according to Miss Hong, Hayan has been waiting for her call all day. Right now, he is asleep. The old lady, without waiting for a response, adds that she had this little mistrust that Sarin wanted to abandon Hayan with her. She began to feel this way after Sarin left the child with her and ghosted them. On the other hand, a part of her had faith that she wasn't that type of person. Although she has been able to confirm that, she reminds Sarin that the kid isn't even hers. It's her way of trying to get her to abandon the little boy, but she refuses, declaring that she cannot abandon him since she lives for him. Miss Hong already knows this, but the condition Sarin is in made her come up with this suggestion. She also suggested this because she fears that Sarin always puts others first and neglects herself. She fears that one day it will all come crashing down on her. Although she isn't okay right now, Sarin claims to be fine before informing Miss Hong that she has found Hayang's father. On hearing this, the old lady asks if he agreed to give her money, and it seems like he will. Sure, he did say something like that earlier, but she isn't certain he'll let her leave after giving her the money. Miss Hong is happy about the news, believing now Sarin will be able to pay off the loan for Hayang's hospital bills. It's urgent because the doctor said he needs the scan next week, pushing her to throw a flood of questions at her to confirm the kid is okay. She just tells Sarin that the doctor keeps giving the same report. According to her, Hayang is better off with his father, as aside from the hospital bills, Sarin has a lot of debt to settle. Again, she refuses, declaring that she will raise Hayang herself when she hears Hayang on the other end of the phone. Miss Hong doesn't hesitate to let Hayang speak with her. Firstly, the boy wants to know why it took Sarin so long to call him. She doesn't respond to that, instead asking him if he woke up just to talk to her. Hayan affirms that he did, explaining that he is a light sleeper like his mother. Before she knows it, the boy wants to know about his father and if he is coming to see him or not. The question shakes Sarin because of the type of man Hayan's father is. Sure, her sister loved him, but she wouldn't have known the man if she didn't read her sister's diary after she passed away. It was still in that diary that she discovered he was the reason why she fled from Eden City and returned to Korea. Since she met him, she understood her sister's decision and knows she can't tell him about Hayan's existence. Even though the child wants to see him, she knows that will only bring the poor kid harm. Her journey here was to find his father since she couldn't bring herself to lie to him that he didn't have one. Sadly, she can't tell what he will do when he finds out about Hayan, and he doesn't understand this, so he starts crying. Hayan fears that his father does not want to see him, but she tries to console him, pleading with him not to cry, because if he does, she can't comfort him. She also reminds him of the promise he made to her that he will not cry while she is away, so he dries his tears. Sarin commends him for this, praising him for being brave before she asks him to put Miss Hong on the phone. The boy immediately does as he is told, allowing the grown-ups to finish their conversation. Now that he isn't listening anymore, she opens up to Miss Hong that she might delay a bit. The old lady has no issue with this, stating that it must have been hard for the man after he heard he had a son. While she is handling him, she admonishes her to eat well as she is there, and she smiles warmly. Although they don't know what she is going through, it's really nice for her to have this type of support. She is really grateful and intends to repay Miss Hong for this good deed when she gets back. She also knows she has to start thinking of a plan, just in case Owen, Hayan's father, goes after Hayan or the old lady. For now, she starts by warning the old lady to be wary of any calls she gets from abroad about her when she hears a knock on the door. She starts panicking, wondering what she will do now if they ask. Owen hadn't told her he had anything for her to do. Nevertheless, she is most worried about whether or not the person at the door overheard her conversation. Luckily for her, it's someone from Orbis who brought her stuff and wants to bring them in. She is glad it's an employee and welcomes the person in. She is shocked, however, to see that it's more than one person and more than one package. She doesn't get why they are arranging the room for her and spots the luggage she left at the hotel among the new stuff. The sight of it scares her, making her feel they might have kept it there to taunt her. This makes her believe he wasn't lying when he said he knows everything going on, but her attention shifts to the many luxury items in the room. Selling a few of them can get her a decent payday and ease her from worrying about Hayan's hospital bills. Sadly, there's no way she can do that because all this isn't hers. The following day, just like her first day walking the dogs, they run wildly, leaving her to try to maintain balance until she begs them to wait, which they do. Sarin is taken aback because of this, glad that she is getting the hang of this and the dogs are being obedient. She recalls her first day on the job and how it was so bad that they dragged her on the floor. Owen even had to gift her this new coat, just to save her from shame, and threw out the old one. Somehow she misses that coat, but then starts getting the feeling that someone is watching them right now. Nevertheless, she has to ensure all this to help her get the money, which is all that matters. Aside from that, she knows she can't run away. As if she does, Hayan will probably suffer for it. One of the Dobermans looks like it feels for her, but assures it that it's okay. Still, deep down, she fears that if she loses Hayan after all this, she will be severely hurt. However, before she knows it, the dogs get excited again, barking at something and running towards it, dragging Sarin on the floor in the process. Initially, she believed they understood her, but now she feels otherwise, eventually letting go of the dogs. She can see they are heading somewhere but doesn't know where exactly. They are smart dogs, and she knows nothing will happen to them, but if anything does, she'll have to answer to Owen. No one wants that, which is why she is chasing after them. Eventually, she gets lost, not knowing which way the dogs went. She ends up at a shady alley right before some hoodlums, reminding her of the warning she was given about this area. It's a criminal zone, leaving her to fear for her safety. She would have turned back, but she fears for the dogs and decides to go in and find them with a brick in hand. If only it would be that easy. Sarin gets stopped by one of the shady men, who mockingly asks her what she is looking for. He then claims to have almost everything she needs, but she refuses the offer, warning him to stay away from her. She has a brick and is not afraid to use it, but he laughs, telling her that many of them in the area carry guns, so a brick is nothing to them. Gladly, he calls his associates, informing them he has found a beautiful lady in their area, Lux Street, and mocks Sarin for coming here with just brick. Nevertheless, she doesn't wish to die in a place like this. She cooks up a plan to toss the brick at one of the men and make a run for it, backpedaling as she looks for the right opportunity. Suddenly, she bumps into a man that leaves the others in fear. In no time, they run off, leaving Sarin and her savior, who turns out to be Yuri. As soon as their eyes meet, he sternly asks her why she is in this part of town. She explains that she came here to find the dogs, but he tells her they have already returned to their owner. She is happy to hear this, and for future purposes, he instructs her to head back to the hotel if something like this happens next time. According to him, they are smart dogs and will always find their way back. Sarin still believes something could happen to the dogs, but Yuri assures her they are the safest living thing in the city. In other words, no one would dare touch Owen's dogs. She remains concerned, stating that the dogs are so gentle, and she fears someone who doesn't know them will hurt them. He is shocked to hear this, recalling how the dogs drag him about during walks. Wow, I thought they respected him. That's why Yuri wants to know how she can call them gentle, even after what the dogs did to her. She informs him that the dogs stopped for a second, and it was her who panicked after letting go of their leashes. This information gives Yuri a lot to think about. He knows the dogs don't stop just like that, and they probably like how quiet Sarin is. The same could not have been said for the other dog walkers, as they bullied them thoroughly, causing them to come back crawling sometimes. Surprisingly, Yuri decides to be nice and helps Sarin back to the hotel, but she hears a familiar back that catches her attention. It's actually one of Owen's dogs, and even though he asks her to ignore it, she asks the dog to come with her. After a bit, she notices the dog isn't coming to them and asks why. The way Yuri sees it, Owen had sent the dog to bring Sarin to him, so he advises her to follow it. Shockingly, she doesn't, resulting in her getting dragged all the way there, as usual. It's probably because she is scared, not knowing where she is being taken to. It's an abandoned building after all. Although she can't tell why he brought her here, she notices the smell in the air and the sound, like when the people in the city were preparing to eat pig. Suddenly, she sees something that frightens her. It's Owen, his dogs, and a person with a bag over his head. She can't say who the captive is, but Owen is excited to see her, sadistically smiling at her when he tells her he wants to show her something. Enjoying this recap so far? Comment Doberman below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ciao! And she wonders what it is. But before she can ask, he gestures for her to step inside the room, and the sight makes her stomach drop. The man she met at the casino is barely recognizable, beaten to a pulp, his face swollen and bloodied, barely able to lift his head. Owen smirks as he says the guy made a solid attempt to escape to Russia that day, thinking he could slip away. But there's nowhere in the world he can't track down. No place far enough to hide. He admits he was so distracted by the ridiculousness of the situation that he forgot about it. But eventually, he figured he should reward his dog walker. He tells her not to be scared, saying the man won't be doing anything soon, won't be moving, won't be talking, won't be breathing, because he'll be dead anyway. And then he asks if she wants that, or if she'd rather he spare him. But isn't it better this way? The guy deserved it for trying to claim her chips that day, for thinking he could take what wasn't his and walk away untouched. So as a reward for all her hard work walking his dog, he's giving her this, letting her see the result of what happens to people who step out of line. Sarin immediately says she never asked for anything like that, her voice sharp, but Owen tilts his head and asks if she'd rather he let the man go, because if he does, then she's the one who will be in danger, and that wouldn't be ideal. Would it? She demands to know what he means, because even if the man was released, he wouldn't be able to lay a finger on her. So who does Owen think he'd take revenge on? Owen chuckles and calls her weak, saying it's easy to make a small woman like her disappear without a trace. She grits her teeth because that wouldn't solve anything. But Owen leans in and tells her that's exactly why it's better to deal with the man now while he's right in front of her. Sarin clenches her fists because she doesn't care much about her own life. But if she's gone, then what about Hayan? That poor kid. No, she won't let that happen. She says she doesn't want anyone getting hurt, and Owen raises an eyebrow, asking if she understands the consequences of that. She knows he's just playing with her, trying to get a reaction, and she can't let herself be provoked. She's just another toy to him, something he'll toss aside when he gets bored. But she repeats that she doesn't want this. Owen laughs and says that for someone so sloppy, she sure doesn't hesitate when it comes to other people's lives. Well, enough chit-chat. He grabs a brick and she flinches. He smirks, asking if she thought he was going to hit her with it. Then, without hesitation, he slams it down on the man. She gasps, wondering if he's still alive, and Owen shrugs. Probably not. Sarin can't believe what she just saw because he didn't even hesitate, and Owen casually says it's become a habit since he's the type to act before thinking. He tells her he gave her time to think, but there's nothing she can't do in this city, so there's no need to hesitate because good people don't last here. Next time she holds a brick, she better make sure to hit first, since that's how things work in Eden City. Back in her room, she lays there, wondering if he wants her to live or die, and what he even wants from her because how much more does he plan to take when it already feels like more than she has. She wants to hear Hayan's voice and wonders if he's awake, but before she can do anything, a knock on the door makes her tense because she doesn't want to see Owen right now. But then, a voice. Yuri. She hesitates before opening the door, and Yuri tells her not to leave her room for a few days. She frowns and asks why, but he sighs, saying Owen's nerves are all over the place and he's not in a good state. Just like before. Owen is never exactly nice, but once a year there's a period when he gets worse. And even though it passes until then, she needs to stay put because no cleaners will come. But there's food in the fridge, and she should lock her door and not step outside no matter what. She watches him leave, her heart pounding, because is that why Owen was acting like a lunatic? And she can't believe she's stuck in a house with him in that condition? So what is she supposed to do? Elsewhere, Yuri mutters that Owen should just go to his private villa because why does he insist on staying here and suffering if it's because of that woman? But Owen cuts him off, demanding the documents he asked for. A henchman hands them over and Owen then smirks, asking why Yuri is so curious about her, because that must be the reason, isn't it? Yuri frowns and asks what he expects him to do, but Owen shrugs. Catch her and kill her. Owen says if he interrogates a few workers or drug dealers, he can find her, and Yuri asks about the woman in the room. But Owen replies that he's not sure yet because he's still having fun playing with her and is curious to see how things turn out. He notes that she looked scared earlier, so he should be gentle. Owen says if that's the case, then she still hasn't realized how nice he's been since he hasn't even laid a single finger on her. Yuri doesn't say anything, but in his head, he's pretty sure that's exactly the problem. Sarin hears a loud noise outside her room and remembers Yuri's warning not to come out under any circumstances. Was this what he meant? Is it Owen? Did he have one of those seizures again? She's curious, but curiosity is how people in horror movies die, so she decides to stay put. But even so, she can't sleep. Eventually, everything calms down, and she wonders if Owen has fallen asleep before finally opening the door. Glass is everywhere, and she expected this. But still, what a mess. There's even a trace of blood. Not surprising considering how reckless he is. And then she remembers that no one is coming to clean for a few days. If she doesn't do it, no one will. So she starts sweeping. She recalls seeing a first aid kit on a shelf because she wouldn't call herself human if she ignored someone who's hurt. But then again, the smart thing to do is not get involved. She hears a noise from Owen's room and freezes. Did he wake up? Instead, one of the dogs trots out, and she's relieved to see them. She peeks at Owen, and he seems to be sleeping. Good. She tells the dogs not to bother him and shuts the door, but they whine at her. She asks what's wrong, then realizes they must be hungry. After finishing the cleanup, she gets their food, and because there might still be glass around, she has them eat on the table and sofa. Not exactly proper dog manners, but at this point, who cares? She looks outside and sees that it's raining, so no walks today. She asks the dogs if they want to stay in her room since it's safer that way, especially if Owen wakes up before she can retreat. She opens her door and they all jump on her bed. They're so cute. She hopes Owen takes care of his wounds because she left the first aid kit nearby, but knowing him, he'll just leave everything dirty again. At night, another loud crash. Did he break something again? Guess she'll be cleaning the living room tomorrow. She asks the dogs if their owner is always this active at night, but they suddenly run to the door. She asks what's wrong. Did they sense something? Did something happen to Owen? She decides to check, and as soon as she cracks the door open, the dogs bolt. She can't see anything. It's dark, and the apartment is eerily silent. Did Owen already go back to his room? If so, this might be her chance. She steps out, and his voice startles her as he asks if she wasn't told not to leave her room. She turns and sees him on the floor with his dogs surrounding him, and she hesitates because she doesn't know what happened, and the dogs just ran out, so maybe she should go back. He thanks her for taking care of them and says she's doing a great job as a dog walker. She blinks because she didn't expect him to say thanks and didn't think he was the type. He asks for headache pills, and she remembers there were some in the first aid kit, which is outside his room. Looks like he kicked it. Nice. She needs to get water too, so she opens the fridge and sees he barely touched his food. If he keeps starving himself? For someone who always looks so perfect, it's strange seeing him like this. She puts everything on a tray and hands it to him from a safe distance. He tells her it's not like an infectious disease, but she thinks to herself, no, but he's definitely more dangerous than one. He suddenly pulls her closer and she stumbles, and the water spills all over his face. She stares in horror. Oh, she's so finished. Owen asks Sarin if she thinks falling on him will help him maintain his composure, and she quickly says it was a mistake and demands to know why he grabbed her in the first place. She tells him to let go, but he just smirks and asks why, and he doesn't seem angry, so is he playing with her again? Either way, being this close, she has to admit he's ridiculously handsome, and no wonder her sister liked him since she was always into men with perfect faces. Owen narrows his eyes and asks what she's looking at and why she's making that face like she's expecting him to do something. Is she trying to seduce him? Sarin scoffs because he's the one holding her. She pushes him away and tells him to stop, and he chuckles, saying she must have a daring side. Why else would she come out here just to tease him? She argues that she had no choice since he made her stay in his room when there are plenty of others in the hotel, and he shrugs, saying good point. But then why did she? Before he can finish, he suddenly holds his head again. She frowns because she's noticed his headaches get worse when the storm does. He grabs her hand and swallows his medication, then reminds her that she's scared of him, yet she still worries enough to give him medicine. She flatly says it's only because if he dies, she'll feel guilty. He chuckles, saying that must mean she's a good person. She admits she did consider not helping. Why care about someone who doesn't even care about himself? Owen starts to question what she means, but then glances down and finally notices his legs are bleeding, which explains the discomfort every time he walked. Sarin, meanwhile, is thinking about how even his feet are annoyingly well-shaped. He lets out a bitter laugh and asks if she thinks it's funny seeing the man who murdered someone in cold blood sitting here like this. Must be a little amusing. She shakes her head and says she's not like the people around him. She wouldn't laugh at someone getting hurt because that's not who she is. Owen stares at her and asks if she's just worried about him then, but before she can answer, his headache flares up again, and he mutters that this weather is making it unbearable. She wonders if the medicine isn't working yet and thinks maybe it's because he hasn't eaten. He frowns, confused by the sudden topic change, and she explains that in her experience, people who are sensitive like this tend to feel better after a meal. One of the dogs runs over, and she takes them to eat elsewhere. Owen notes that she seems to be getting along with them. Sarin agrees, saying it's easy since they're so smart. She figures she might as well eat too, after all the effort she put into preparing everything. He watches her and notices that she looks like she's enjoying it. She laughs and says, That's probably because for poor people like her, good meals like this were rare and meant everything. She offers him some, and to her shock, he actually takes it. She yelps as if she's just seen a monster, and he raises an eyebrow, asking if she was going to scream like that. Why did she offer it in the first place? She stammers that she just didn't expect him to actually take it. The truth is, after everything that happened, it feels surreal. And somehow, watching him eat makes her feel like she's being pulled into something she doesn't understand. She quietly mentions that her sister loved rainy days. Owen snorts and says, then she would have been a terrible match for him. Sarin explains that heavy rain meant their stepfather would come home late. So she, her mother, and her sister could finally have a peaceful moment together, just lying down and watching the storm. Listening to the raindrops hit the roof while pretending they were somewhere else. Somewhere better. But now she doesn't have her mother or sister anymore. And she can't go back to that. Owen tells her not to look at him like that. She says she doesn't like rainy days now because they're full of painful memories. He smirks and asks if she's saying that just to match with him, and if she would like to test that and see how well they match together. Sarin glares, feeling a sharp sting of anger rise in her chest, thinking how dare he joke about that when he was involved with her sister. He tilts his head, studying her expression, and asks if he was, and how his sweet little sister knows that. Her heart stops because she didn't want him to find out this way. Owen eyes her carefully, his gaze sharp and unreadable, and asks if this means she came all this way just to find a man who is intimate with her sister, and why she would do that since that's strange. He leans back, watching her reaction closely, and says, the funny thing is, he doesn't even remember it. She tells him to let her go if he doesn't even remember, but he leans back with a smirk, saying she makes him hot. The headaches are already getting better and eating helped, but maybe satisfying another need will jog his memory too. She jumps up, begging him to stop. He stretches, deciding they should call it a day. He had fun thanks to her, since she shared a secret. He'll return the favor. He hates rain because he almost died in it. When he was weak and small, it rained a lot, the washing everything away. He remembers the cold water rushing into his mouth and nose, the weight of a hand shoving him down, the voice telling him to die. He was too weak to fight back. That helplessness still twists inside him, but now he sees the value in it. That day, past all the fear, what kept him alive wasn't luck. It was anger, a burning, ruthless rage and the urge to kill. But he needed strength. If he had been stronger, he wouldn't have been so powerless to survive. One has to be strong, able to force away anything that tries to suffocate them. And if someone tries to drown you, you better be ready to throw them into the water instead. He shakes off the thoughts, saying they should go to their separate rooms. She hesitates before asking who tried to kill him. He doesn't answer, then turns away as if the question isn't worth acknowledging. After that rainy day, his health spirals. At least she can rest knowing he won't die of hunger since he's raiding the fridge constantly. But the worse he gets, the more plates he breaks. There's only one bowl left now. There's still time before he wakes up, so she takes the chance to move around freely, the only time she feels like she has some control. But how long is she supposed to live like this? Trapped in this strange, suffocating routine? She can barely sleep because he always wakes up just as she's about to. And yet she still has to be there if he hurts himself again, because no one else will. She doesn't understand him at all. She wouldn't normally go near a guy like him, let alone live with him. But she has no choice. For Hayan, she tells herself it's just temporary. If what Owen said is true, then she remembers when he mentioned his mother trying to kill him. If that's who he meant, then she must not have loved her child at all. And if even a mother could be that cruel, then what about everyone else? Some people don't even care about blood ties. The thought disgusts her. How could anyone do that to their own child? And if that's possible, then even Hayan might not be safe. She has to escape before she's too deep in this world. Owen walks in asking if she slept well. His voice is casual, but there's something off about it, like he already knows the answer. It was time for her to go to sleep, yet she never went to her room. Was he listening for her? She forces a smile, saying she fell asleep outside. He doesn't comment, just mentions that Yuri is coming back tomorrow. She nods and asks if she can go home. She's been working as a dog walker for a while. She just needs her passport. It's a simple request, logical even. But he laughs. Is she really that desperate to leave? If he lets her go, who's going to take care of him? She suggests Yuri, but he refuses. Only she can do it. Didn't she know she doesn't respond? He's toying with her, isn't he? He doesn't actually care about keeping her around. He just enjoys pulling her strings. He had promised to pay her, but never said how much. She doubts he ever planned to. Fine. She doesn't want his money. Just let her go. He tilts his head, asking if she doesn't believe him. All right, since he's the one who hired her. It's only fair they discuss her payment. How much does she want? The directness catches her off guard. He asks so suddenly that she has no idea how much to say. Dog walking doesn't pay much, right? She hesitates, trying to gauge his reaction. He says it's not even half the worth of the things in the dressing room. She expected as much, but she was hoping he'd be generous. Considering how easily he spends money, he had paid her $500 just for doing laundry once. She throws out a number, $200. His reaction is immediate. He looks genuinely shocked. Is that too much? She was expecting dog walking wouldn't be worth much. He stares before asking if she's serious. That's way too low. Is she really okay with that? She hesitates before raising it to $300. He just shakes his head. What does she think his income is? He offers her $10,000 per week. Her brain short-circuits. He can't be serious. Even for him, that must be too much. A man willing to throw that kind of money at her. What exactly does he expect in return? But still, with that much money, she could pay off her debts in no time. She could afford every medical bill, every test, everything Hayan might need. He just watches her back, waiting for her answer. Owen already knows everything about Sarin, her family, the environment she grew up in, the reason she came to Eden City, and why she desperately needs money. He should have complete control over her. But it's not enough. He wants to make her completely his. Sarin asks if he really plans to give her that much money. Owen thinks he's been out of his mind for days, but today feels worse. He assures her he won't go back on his word. $10,000 a week is an amount she never imagined receiving, but she still hesitates. She confirms that all she has to do is walk the dogs and nothing else. Owen leans back, pretending to consider. Maybe the man accused of being intimate with her sister could ask her to eat with him sometimes. Would that be okay? She nods as long as he never asks her to do anything more. After what happened to her sister, she would never do that. Owen asks if she'd agree to be with him if he proves he wasn't involved with her sister. Sarin stares at him. He's really the worst. Every time he opens his mouth, she's speechless. Why can't he speak like a normal person? He says he told her before. He doesn't remember being with her sister. She fires back. Her sister wrote about him in her diary. She trusts her. He must have met so many women that he doesn't even remember. Owen sighs. Does she know how many women have probably written about him in their diaries, fantasizing, he'll prove it next time? He leaves laughing like this is all a joke. Sarin frowns. Is this really something to be so confident about? He's definitely hiding something, but no matter what tricks he tries, there's undeniable proof of what happened in Korea. Things return to normal in the house. Yuri comments that she's in better shape than expected and asks if anything strange happened. Sarin mentions the broken dishes. Yuri shrugs. They can buy new ones. She also tells him Owen hurt his feet and was walking around like that. Yuri raises an eyebrow. Just his feet this time. Sarin hesitates. Does that mean Owen usually gets hurt worse? Owen walks in. She hasn't seen him wearing a suit in a while. He looks better than usual. He grabs her hair in greeting. She immediately pulls away. He tells her not to be so wary. He was just saying hello. She stares at him. After everything he said yesterday. How can he act so normal? Does nothing affect him? He tells Yuri to hand something over. It's an envelope thick with cash. Owen says cash is probably more convenient for her. Yuri watches the exchange with mild interest, almost like he's wondering what happened these past few days. Sarin holds the money. She's never had this much in her hands before. It doesn't feel real. She watches Owen and Yuri leave and stares at the envelope, realizing she was so distracted she forgot to say goodbye. 10,000 for a week of walking dogs. There's no way this is normal. There has to be a catch. She knows that, but at the same time, she can't refuse. She needs this money for Hayan. The dogs bring their leashes, eager to go outside. She sighs. It's still raining. Are they really okay with that? They haven't gone out in a while, so maybe a little rain won't hurt. Worrying won't change anything. Besides, her passport was taken. She's practically living here like a prisoner. If she thinks about it that way, maybe this insane payment makes sense. A door opens. The man from the casino is lying in bed, groaning about the noise. He rubs his head, still sore. Why did Owen hit him with a brick? He was just making money off stupid people. Normally, he'd let it slide, but Sarin was involved. He doesn't know what she said to Owen, but he won't forgive her. He has to kill her. Owen should have known better than to mess with him. His boss is Nikolai's right-hand man, but then again, Owen practically owns Eden City. Even so, he can't let this slide. The door swings open. A man walks in. The casino guy grumbles. Was he swearing out loud? The man, Pavel, smirks. Looks like his head got smashed in. Was it Owen? The casino guy glares. Pavel reeks of alcohol and women just like his father, an addict through and through. Pavel asks what he plans to do. The man grits his teeth if that woman hadn't interfered. Pavel tilts his head. What woman? Does Owen have a girlfriend now? Yeah. Pavel leans against the wall, eyes glinting. What's Owen planning? If Nikolai finds out, he demands details. The man explains. Pavel's lips twitch into a grin. So that's what happened. Fun things always happen when he's not around. The man growls. Because of that woman, Owen kidnapped him, massacred his brother and his subordinates all over a bit of money. It wasn't a big deal. Why did it have to go that far? Pavel shrugs. They're bad people anyway. The man agrees. Yes, it's all because of that woman. Pavel taps his fingers against the wall, thinking, he was planning to visit Owen just to be nice. But this is an opportunity. If he plays it right, he can take Owen down. Maybe then he'll be the new king of Eden City. He lets out a quiet chuckle. Things are finally getting interesting. Owen doesn't come back for a few days after giving Sarin the money. She hides it in her wardrobe, knowing she needs to find a way to send it to Korea. But first, she has to let them know. She calls Miss Hong, but instead of her, Hayan picks up. He says his nanny is sleeping. He was asleep too, but heard the phone ringing on his way to the bathroom. Sarin realizes it must be late at night in Korea. He asks when she's coming back. She apologizes and tells him she has to stay a little longer. Then he asks about his father. Is he not there with her? She says his father is really busy and wanted her to tell him he was sorry for not being able to talk to him earlier. Hayan goes quiet for a moment, then accuses her of lying. He asks why she's lying to him. Does she hate him now too? Her heart sinks. She asks why he would think that. He says it's because she told him she was going to find his father. But now she doesn't want them to meet. Is that true? She grips the phone tighter. She read about this before. Children aren't as clueless as adults think. It seems that was right, but she can't tell him the truth. Not yet. His father is probably the last hope he has left, and she doesn't want to take that from him. If he loses his will to keep going, she could end up losing another family member. She can't cry now. Not in front of Hayan. Just like that day. The day her sister died. The day Hayan sobbed and begged his mother not to leave without him. That day, Sarin vowed to protect him no matter what. No matter how much she had to lie. She steadies her voice and asks if he remembers what she always tells him. Who is he to her? He hesitates. Then quietly says an angel who fell from the sky. She smiles even though he can't see it. That's right. He's her angel, the most important person in her world. He apologizes. He says it's because he kept talking about wanting to see his father. He made her go look for him, and now he feels so lonely without her. Because of that, she cuts him off. She tells him she misses him too. She will definitely come back. He just has to wait a little longer. Miss Hong walks in, asking if it's Sarin on the phone. Sarin confirms it and asks her to take care of Hayan a little longer. Miss Hong agrees, and Sarin promises to call again before ending the call. She sighs, staring at the phone. In the end, she's going to have to tell Hayan the truth, that she was wrong about his father. But how long can she keep up this act? The dogs suddenly rush into her room, snapping her out of her thoughts. She asks if they're hungry. Now that she thinks about it, she's thirsty too. She steps outside and stops in her tracks. Owen is there. She stares at him, wondering how long he has been standing there. He asks if she's done with her call. Her stomach twists. Did he hear anything? No. He doesn't know Korean. She tells herself it's fine. He watches her closely. Who was it? He heard something like Yan. She was talking real sweet. Someone important. She keeps her face blank. She doesn't know what he's talking about. He must have misheard. He smirks but doesn't argue. She quickly turns to leave, but just as she reaches her door, he calls her back. Her breath catches. Something about his voice feels off, but there's nothing she can do. Slowly, she turns around. He leans against the wall, watching her. She doesn't have to be so scared. How about a drink? She shakes her head. She doesn't drink. Besides, she thinks she might be coming down with a cold. He tilts his head, looking amused. Shame. Her fingers twitch on the doorknob. If that's all, can she go back to her room? The way he's looking at her makes her uneasy. Maybe it's the alcohol, but he feels more dangerous than usual. He chuckles. She looks like a terrified deer about to bolt. His eyes glint. He loves hunting those. Her blood runs cold. The more they try to run, the more exciting it gets, and when he finally catches them, when they start breaking down, she doesn't understand what he's saying. Then he steps forward slightly. Stay right there. She stiffens. He doesn't move any closer. He smiles. Relax. He's not going to touch her. He leans his head back against the wall. He just wants to watch her while he does it. She waits still as a statue until he's finished. The second he's done, she takes off like she just remembered an urgent appointment. He leans down, sniffs the chair, and sighs like a poet in love, saying even her scent belongs in a museum. She wonders why she even watched something like that. But what's worse is reacting like this after watching it. Maybe she really is crazy. She's never dated anyone before. All she knows about romance comes from her sister's stories, but she always thought that kind of thing wasn't for her. Still with a face as pretty as her sister's. She once dreamed of a love that was pure and beautiful. Yet here she is feeling this way over a man she doesn't even like. But no matter how much she tells herself that the feeling won't go away, her body is tense. Her face feels warm. Her skin is sticky and she hates it. Normally, she doesn't care if the maids do her laundry, but this time, no, she'll handle it herself. Later that night, she lies under her blanket, staring at the ceiling, trying to clear her mind when she feels something moving underneath. Is it the dogs? She lifts it up. It's Owen. He's way too close. Her breath catches, her heart pounds. Meanwhile, outside her room, Yuri stops in his tracks. Strange noises, muffled movements. Something feels off. She jolts awake, breathing heavily. Just a dream. Maybe it's the sweat, but that tingling sensation lingers. She shakes her head. How could she have a dream like that? People say dreams reflect desires, but does she really want something like that? Maybe after staying here so long, she started getting weird too. How did her sister last a whole year in a place like this? She steps out of her room and spots Owen heading into his. She calls out, asking what's wrong with him. How can he act so casual after showing her something so obscene yesterday? The dogs rush over leashes in their mouths, practically begging. She kneels, greeting them. Did they sleep well? Want to go for a walk? Should they head out earlier today? Animals express emotions through actions. But just like their owner, sometimes they're hard to understand. Come to think of it, she doesn't even know their names. Owen and Yuri just call them dogs. She's never heard their real names. Well, fine, she'll give them names herself. The eldest is Bluey, the calmest one is Yellowy, and the youngest, full of energy, is Pinky. That should be fine, right? The dogs wag their tails in approval, or maybe they just don't care either way. As she steps outside, Yuri spots her and asks if she's heading out already. She nods, saying she's taking the dogs for an early walk. He gives her a suspicious look and asks if she's sure she's in good condition to go out in this weather. She frowns, saying she's not sick or anything. He raises an eyebrow and says he's asking because of the strange noises he heard from her room last night. Her face heats up. Please tell her he's not talking about that dream. Yuri sighs, confirming his suspicions. She really doesn't seem well, and he already called a doctor to check on her this afternoon. She should go when she gets back. She insists she's fine, just a bad dream and a rough night. He says, if she pushes herself too hard, she'll regret it later. She insists again that she's fine. He thinks to himself. What a strange woman. While reviewing her investigation file, he found himself clicking his tongue. Even for someone like him who's been through life or death situations, it's hard not to pity her. She even lost her passport because of Owen. Right now, she's basically a toy. Yet she keeps acting like she's okay. He tells her he knows she's struggling because of Owen. She blinks in confusion. What? He quickly says nothing. And anyway, his job includes setting conditions and limitations on her. Seeing the doctor is non-negotiable. She thanks him for being considerate. He smirks and says, no, if she collapses, he'll be stuck walking those bad dogs. She gasps in offense. How dare he? These dogs are angels. Yuri silently notes how popular she is with eccentric creatures. He tells her to change her walking route since there was a shooting at dawn in Scandal District. And just to be safe, she should walk around Lavinia instead. He adds that it's best to keep the dogs away from the smell of gunpowder, because if they notice it, they'll want to investigate. Oh, and there's a really good tart shop in Lavinia. She should grab something while she's there. She asks if it's called JAM. He nods, surprised, and asks if she's been there before. She shakes her head and says, no, but her sister's diary mentioned it. Her sister wanted to take her there. Yuri shrugs, saying it's a famous place so she won't have trouble finding it. She nods. He says he's heading out since Owen needs new suits. She thanks him for everything. She watches him leave, wondering if Yuri is actually nice. Maybe he's friendlier than he seems. She walks with the dogs and spots a sign that says Jam, the tart place. It really does look popular. Yuri told her to buy something, but maybe she should just keep going. Before she can decide, the dogs yank her toward the line. She stumbles, looking down at them. Do they want her to buy something? She protests, saying, no, they should keep walking. They don't budge. People line up behind her. She sighs, accepting her fate. As she waits, she suddenly spots someone in the crowd. Her breath catches. That person looks just like her sister. Owen asks when she's coming back, but Sarin stays with the lady who looks like her sister, though the lady calls her a liar. In her diary, she wrote that buying delicious tarts at Jam was something she only did on holidays. Yet here she is doing just that. She wanted her to come eat tarts with her too. She hesitates for a moment before stepping into the shop and ordering a peach tart, taking it outside to eat. The smell is amazing, warm and sweet. She remembers Irin calling her over once to give her a peach from Hong Shang's grandma, saying they were really delicious. She had taken a bite and agreed. It was the best peach she ever had. If it wasn't for Hayan, she probably would have followed to the other side because they've always been together. She takes a bite of the tart, wondering if Irin was thinking about her in Korea too. The dogs stare at her while she eats, their eyes round and expectant. She tells them it's okay, she'll stop crying soon, and thanks them. If not for them, she wouldn't have been able to do this today. Their presence kept her steady, even when she felt like crumbling. Hayan likes peaches too, doesn't he? She decides she'll bring him here to taste these tarts later. It'll be sweeter if he doesn't eat alone. Next time, they'll split one in half. She asks the dogs if they can keep going, if they head home now. Her legs ache. She can't believe she ended up walking for 4 hours. Honestly, most of the time she thinks they were just dragging her around. She takes their leashes off and notices their legs are shaking too, so they're just as tired, huh? Did they make her walk so much because they wanted her to cheer up? Maybe they understood more than she thought. It was tough. But thanks to them, she feels better. She walks into the house and the dogs run inside without waiting for her to clean their feet, which is strange since they usually wait for her to do it. She hasn't even taken her shoes off yet. She calls their nicknames, stepping further in, and then she sees Owen, sitting there like he's been waiting for her. Why is he back so early? She doesn't feel comfortable being alone with him right now. He greets her, and she responds. He suggests she sit too, but she refuses. She doesn't want to go through what happened last time. She reminds him that she already said if things like yesterday keep happening, she won't be able to work here anymore, so he should just give her passport back. He, or whoever this is, tilts his head, then says, "Oh, right, I usually keep important things on me. You should check my body for it." She stares. That would mean touching him even more. Yeah, no thanks. Now that she thinks about it, his clothes are different from this morning. She remembers Yuri mentioning something before she left. Did he change into the clothes Yuri gave him? The dogs are acting strange too. They usually stick close to Owen, but now they seem to be watching him instead. He asks how long she's going to act like this. Tells her to do as he says because he's not in a good mood today. Did something bad happen? He even started drinking early. Normally he drinks straight, but today it's different. And where's his ring? She's only ever seen him take it off when his hands might get dirty. He always wears it like it's something precious. Something about this feels off, but the person in front of her is definitely Owen. Right. She tells him to give back her passport. She'll also return the $500 he gave her. He waves it off, says it's an insignificant amount. No need to return it. She apologizes, says she's feeling sick, so she'll head to her room. The deal she made with Owen was $10,000 a week. This guy is lying. He's pretending to be Owen. Who is he? She turns to leave, but suddenly he grabs her hair, yanks her back, his voice low. "Where do you think you're going? I'm not done talking." A dog lunges at him. He scowls, mutters that these mutts have no manners, and kicks it away. She stares. This man absolutely cannot be Owen. She demands to know who he is. He smirks, says it's him. She scoffs. Owen would never hurt a dog. His gaze sharpens as he sees her eyes. Irin once mentioned a sister with astigmatism. One eye, a beautiful ash gray. He tilts his head, so she's the younger sister from back then. Lee something, right? Her eyes really are as special as he heard. They remind him of an old dog on its last breath. She stiffens. This man. Who is he? She asks if he knows her sister. He grins, says of course they're very close, maybe even in a relationship, though one-sided. Her sister is the one pining. She snaps that he's lying. He chuckles. Even so, she's sharp. Unlike her sister, who is easy to deceive. Her stomach twists. What did he do to her sister? The realization slams into her. Owen didn't lie. Hayan's biological father is this man, but the diary never mentioned anything like that. Then it clicks. Owen has a twin, identical. So why is this one pretending? Why is he here in Owen's place? His expression darkens. He orders her to shut up and tells the dogs to settle down. Her pulse pounds. She's been beaten before. She knows what happens when someone resists. The more they struggle, the harder the hits come. Says she shouldn't look so scared. She should talk a little. She stares. About what? He leans in. Owen is looking for him. It has something to do with her. She blinks. How would she know? She just found out he existed. Why ask her? He could ask Owen directly. A voice cuts in. Owen greets his twin brother, Pavel. The mood shifts. The male lead narrows his eyes. If Pavel came all this way, he should at least say hello properly. After all, weren't his guts just spilled out? Pavel forces a smile, apologizes, says he didn't mean to. The male lead's expression tightens. Then he sees Sarin again, and his fury spikes. Pavel panics, begs for a chance to explain. The male lead doesn't listen. His fists do the talking. Pavel gasps, pleads, says he was wrong. The male lead scoffs. Does Pavel even understand what he's saying? Does he mean he broke their promise? If he scatters seeds carelessly, he'll die. That was the rule. What does he think about fixing things later? Owen sighs, shakes his head. Why is Pavel using his identity? That's just disappointing. Sarin's mind races. Owen claimed he didn't know her sister, but then he said he discovered the truth himself. Did that include Hayan? Pavel swallows. His voice shakes as he asks if he has a child. His eyes flick to Sarin. So that's why she's here. He thought she belonged to Owen. But no, this is why the male lead showed up. The woman, it was a little joke, right? Sending her sister to collect money for a child. Pavel exhales, mind scrambling. First, he needs to survive this mess. The rest can wait. Owen snorts. A guy like Pavel being a father. That's a real tragedy for the kid. Not that Pavel will live long enough to meet them. Pavel stiffens. He says Owen doesn't know anything. That Sarin is lying. Owen is being deceived. In a flashback, Pavel's first impression of Owen is the awful stench, the filthy clothes and those strange eyes. Even then, he has a bad feeling about him. His grandfather, Nikolai, the head of the Red Mafia in Moscow, always values blood ties. Because of that, Pavel grows up spoiled. Owen, on the other hand, is separated from birth and raised neglected in poverty as a body worker. That's what people say. At least, meanwhile, Pavel has everything. Power, money, status. He believes the throne of the city will be his one day. But then, his grandfather gives it all to Owen. He has to be joking, Nikolai says. Owen reminds him of himself when he was young, so he has high expectations. Pavel thinks he must be blind. If only Owen never showed up. He's nothing but a street rat, a lowly dog. But the real humiliation comes when Nikolai orders Pavel to pretend to be Owen while he's away from Eden City. No one can know its true owner is gone. Pavel plays along, but he's not about to waste the opportunity. Out of spite, he indulges in everything he can get his hands on. Women, money, business. He steals from Owen's empire and expands the cartel in ways Owen never dared to. Eden City is a paradise, and Pavel enjoys every second of it. The problem is, paradise never lasts. The more fun he has, the shorter his time seems to be. The moment he hears Owen is looking for him, he disappears into one of his many hiding spots. No matter how hard Owen searches, he'll never find him. Or so he thinks. Pavel enters the room and freezes. Owen is there. Seems like he had a lot of fun while he was gone. Did he enjoy himself? Pavel feels like he's going insane. This man, with his face, takes everything from him. And now he's here to take even more. There's nothing he won't steal. Not even his life. Owen tilts his head, unimpressed. He was thinking of throwing him into the Baltic Sea. At least the fish would get a meal out of him. Before Pavel can answer, one of the guards announces the boss is coming. Owen's smirk widens. He's lucky grandfather is such a generous man. He hasn't even seen all the garbage Pavel has pulled, and he's already willing to look the other way. But there are conditions. 1, he never returns to Eden City. 2, he stops spreading his dirty seed. Owen's voice sharpens, break either, and the Baltic will be his grave. Presently, Pavel insists he didn't break the promise. It's obvious Sarin is lying. He's being framed. Owen watches him carefully. Maybe he's right. His dear brother would never do something so foolish. But how do they find out who's lying? His tone is mockingly sweet. Pavel scoffs. Women have a habit of lying, just like their mother did. Owen's eyes darken. He turns to Sarin. If the kid isn't his, that means her sister was violated by someone she doesn't even remember. If she's going to lie, at least make it believable. He raises his fist to hit Pavel again, but Yuri steps in. The boss is coming. Owen exhales sharply. Grandfather saves him again. Why is he still so protective? Don't look so down. Be grateful. Wait for him like a good boy. His voice drops to a deadly whisper as he glances at Yuri. If he moves even an inch, cut off his legs. He leaves. Sarin follows, her voice unsteady. Her sister really has a son. Owen shrugs. Is that so? She hesitates. Did her sister truly not know? She wants to believe she did, but doubt creeps in. The diary only contains stories about Owen. If she knew the truth, surely she wouldn't have let it slide. Maybe she was protecting her son? Maybe she wanted to shield Hayan from the truth about his father? Sarin drops her voice to a whisper. Please don't touch the child. Going to Eden City is the worst mistake she's ever made. She only wants to find Hayan's father for child support, but now she's caught up in something much worse. Their debt is already crushing. The cost of treatment keeps piling up, and she needs money. But she never expects this. She begs him, says it's all her fault. How long has he known about her sister and Hayan? A man like him, who controls Eden City. Why would he go through so much trouble for someone like her? She doesn't want him to say it. She doesn't want to hear that he knows where the kid is. He drags her down to the casino. The lady tells her to place her bet. Owen smirks before she asks how much he knows, didn't she? He knows everything, even her deepest secrets. Whenever things get tough, she clings to something interesting. Wasn't it gambling or alcohol? A lovely set of coping mechanisms, really. Her mother spent every day drowning in pain, and after she knocked her out with painkillers, she had to get through the long nights alone. There was only one thing to rely on. After her mother died, her sister returned to Eden City, and she tried her best to quit. Hayan needed her, but if her mother could see her now, no more bets. All her cards are already flipped. So he knows it all. Even that. He found out she was even more broken than he expected. She wonders if she's ever been able to hide anything from this man. He hands her a glass of whiskey. Just a sip, and she can get drunk. Get lost? Forget? Even just for a little while. He pours it out in front of her. She demands to know why. He tells her she can't do it. She worked too hard to stay out of it. Is she really going to fall for the same thing again? She doesn't need alcohol. There's something better to distract herself with. He's proven he's not the man her sister was with. So what's stopping her from being with him? Her head spins from the scent of the whiskey. He's testing her. He knew she'd be like this. He wants her answer. She asks why he's doing this. In her eyes, he sees it. Rising, uncontrollable desire. He chuckles. Well, she was the one who looked at him like that first. He picks her up and carries her to his car. She asks where they're going. He says his villa, unless she prefers to do this here. With Pavel watching. She says she doesn't want to go to his villa. She begs him not to hurt the child. He tells her the child must be on the plane. He'll bring him here. Pavel groans, saying it hurts. Of course, it hurts. His jaw is dislocated. What kind of man does this much damage to someone with the same face? He tells Yuri to help him. Yuri sighs, looking down at him. You should get up already. Pavel grits his teeth but drags himself onto the couch. He glances at the dogs, muttering an apology for kicking them earlier. They were in the way, not his fault. The dogs, unimpressed, ignore him. Yuri crosses his arms, looking at Pavel like he's the biggest idiot in the world. He asks why Pavel broke his promise. He wasn't supposed to come back to Eden City. He had to know this would happen. Pavel shrugs. He heard Owen was looking for him, figured he'd pay him a visit. Yuri narrows his eyes. That's it. That's the reason. Pavel grins. Not exactly. He heard something interesting. Owen has never been interested in women before, yet suddenly there's one by his side. And not just any woman. One of those Asian women their grandfather hates so much, he had to come see for himself, no matter the consequences. Yuri raises a brow, saying, Pavel has no right to judge when he did the same thing. Pavel's face darkens. If Yuri weren't above him, he'd cut his tongue out. Pavel clicks his tongue, muttering that it wasn't something he expected. He leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees, then asks where she is now. Yuri hesitates before answering. She's gone. It was an accident. The woman he saw earlier is her sister. She's the one raising the child. Pavel frowns. If that's the case, then there's no use in thinking about it any further. Yuri watches him carefully. This was probably just an excuse to come after Owen. Either way, the male lead won't be coming back here anytime soon. In the end, the one who'll be dealing with their grandfather's anger is him. He tells Pavel to leave and stop causing trouble. Pavel scoffs. He hasn't even recovered from the last mess. Besides, he's in no condition to show up like this. He grumbles about how Owen never learned basic morals. Yuri sighs, wondering if he should have just let him handle things his way. Sarin shifts nervously. She brings up what he mentioned earlier about bringing the child over. Owen nods. His grandfather values blood. He'll respect that much. She hesitates before asking if that means he actually intends to protect him. Hayan is very sick. He must be terrified. Owen shrugs, saying the child has no reason to be afraid. He already believes they're connected. It's a relief in a way. He knows everything, even how to bring Hayan over without raising suspicion. But why? She should feel exposed, every secret, every weakness laid bare. Yet, instead of despair, there's a strange sense of ease. There's no need to hide anymore. She knows she should hate him. He's terrifying, the kind of man she swore to avoid. But despite all that, she calls his name. He looks at her, waiting. She takes a breath. Then she tells him she'll do it. Back when he was little, she didn't care much about him or how he got by daily. Whether he was drenched by rain or suffered intense heat wasn't her business. Instead, she was dependent on other random things like men, drugs, and alcohol. That's why he could recognize at first glance, on the day they met, that she had eyes like his mother. She looks like she lost something, and even though she stopped drinking for the sake of a child, the addiction lingered. It's clear to him that she is looking for a substitute for alcohol, and he wants to become that substitute. The fact that she has agreed to open up to him only helps his plan to make her cling to him so desperately that she cannot live without him. After she voices out her agreement, they experience a few miles of cold and silence until they finally arrive at their destination. Even upon her coat, Sarin feels cold. Maybe it's because she has her slippers on after all. She was in a haste when she left home and chased after him. Her thoughts dwell on the cold for a bit, before she realizes that she is at the famed cottage in the mountains. Based on how long the drive here was, she wonders how far they are from Eden City. She is so lost in thought that she slips, but luckily for her, Owen saves her just in time. They then stare at each other for the longest second ever, with Sarin thinking about how she is going to get intimate with this man. He is someone she doesn't like, but she is doing this to silence the noisy thoughts in her head and get rid of them. She stares at him, thinking so deeply that he actually feels she is giving him the look again. The look of a cornered prey that makes him ask if she is scared now. In truth, she is scared. She had a rough day and she might not be thinking straight, but she'll still follow through with their agreement anyway, even if it's the worst choice. With that, they head into the cottage and she scans its interior, but isn't done when he demands that they do what they came here for. By the time it's all over, Owen hears some noise and has to go check it out, leaving her to get out of bed and clear her head. By the time she is done, she is surprised that there is more to her than she thought. She then thinks about Hayan, wondering if he got into the country safely, when she suddenly hears a sound that distracts her. She is certain it's the sound of a gunshot and suspects something happened to Owen. He might be hurt for all she knows, so she takes a gun and goes out into the cold to see if he is okay or not. She rushes towards the sound of the shots, only to arrive there and see him tending to a deer. The deer, feeling threatened, reacts immediately, alerting Owen in the process. He doesn't know it's her coming and pulls a gun at her, but lowers it when he discovers it's her. He's surprised she can walk now, but because he just pointed a gun at her, she drops hers due to fear. She then states that she doesn't recall her legs getting hurt. When he explains what he means, it's clear that he is teasing her, so she ignores him and asks about the gunshot she heard. She tells him she thought he was dead, but that makes him conclude she came all the way to look for his body. According to her, she only considered the possibility of him being dead. After her explanation, they stand there in silence, with Owen thinking about the deer he saw in a trap. He thought about ending it, but decided to free it instead, even though he had to put his body on the line. He tells Sarin that as long as he wasn't hunting the deer, finding it in the trap of another made it a defenseless prey. Killing a defenseless prey doesn't please him. After all the deer talk, Owen picks up the guns and decides it's time to head home, and advises Sarin to walk closely behind him. He knows where the traps are and she doesn't, so he doesn't want her to get hurt. She does as he asks, following closely until they get back. By the time they arrive, she is hungry and rushes to the kitchen to see if there's anything to eat, and fortunately for her, there is. To add to that, it's top quality, like the food back at the hotel. She is about to eat when she remembers his wounds, however, and decides to get the first aid box for him. She wants to drop it at the door of the bathroom so he can see it and use it later, but accidentally bumps into him in the process. He is surprised to see her at the door, wondering why she didn't join him for a shower, but she'd rather they talk after he puts his clothes on. When he does, she helps him with his wounds, tending to them so well that he commends her for it. That's because they couldn't afford the hospital, and her mom got hurt a lot. He then comments on how she's so nice it's dumb, but that makes him want to know what she'll do next. Focusing on how he helped the deer, even though it ended up getting him hurt. After that, he said the deer would have found its way back to the wild, with or without his help, so he decided to help anyway. She feels she is in the same position here, as she knows treating Owen won't change anything, but she still helps him. When she finishes, she tells him she's done, only for him to stare at her coldly. She turns away immediately, trying to avoid eye contact, but he is already onto her. He can tell she has questions for him and permits her to ask him anything. In truth, she has something on her mind and wants to know who some other person is. Sarin is talking about Pavel, his twin brother who he has only met a few times in his life. He states that he and Pavel are quite different from her and Irin, and she agrees. Nevertheless, when she crossed paths with Owen's twin, she could tell he wasn't him. Suddenly, he decides to call it a night and persuades her to join him. Initially, she refuses, claiming she doesn't want to have kids, and he assures her that he has taken the necessary means to prevent that. She feared that a mistake like this was what landed her mother and them in the situation they ended up in. To ensure she didn't make the same mistake, she decided to be careful who she spent the night with. Eventually, she lets him have his way, only for them to be interrupted in the long run. Turns out some people have stopped by the cottage. Since Owen's car is outside, they wonder if there's anyone in the cottage. They aren't sure anyone is in, but accidentally alert Owen. He quickly gets a knife, realizing that the smell of blood attracted visitors that he might have to take care of. He leaves Sarin to go deal with them, leaving her to head upstairs, unsure whether something will happen or not. In the end, she hopes it's nothing. But then she suddenly starts feeling dizzy. She believes she'll be okay if she rests a bit. However, she hears a scream that takes her mind off how dizzy she is. In the end, the dizziness and thinking about the scream she heard overwhelm her, and she collapses. By the time she wakes up, she's tucked in bed, unsure of how she got there. She can't remember, but then she hears sounds that draw her downstairs. She suspects the sounds are coming from the people who came before, when Owen pops up behind her, surprised that she has woken up. His sneaking up on her almost sends her heart flying out of her chest. But she's glad it's him, and catches her breath when she tells him he startled her. Still, she is glad he is safe, but he believes she is disappointed. She then explains that she brought up the topic because of the intruders, when someone greets her from behind. The visitor is another woman with brown hair, who declares it's a pleasure to meet Sarin. Her arrival leads to them having dinner together, and there she apologizes for scaring her, before introducing herself as Angelica. Her Korean name is Hayan, and she made dinner because Sarin looked hungry. She thanks their guest for the mind's gesture and starts to eat, while the other guest silently watches her. She had warned him about staring at people and wanted him to stop before he made their host cry. Sarin assures them that she is okay now and only cried because she was startled, before expressing how glad she is to see other Koreans. Furthermore, she apologizes to them for crying and scaring them in the process, after which she points out that the guy over there looks like Owen. Even when they glare at each other, it has the same vibe, so it makes sense when Angelica informs her that they are cousins. He agrees that they are, but like Owen and his brother, they haven't met each other that much. Owen claims this is so because his cousin likes the smell of blood. It's a weird interest he has that landed him in psychiatric hospitals. The longer they glare at each other, the thicker the air in the room feels. The men continue throwing insults at themselves until Owen reminds his cousin that he owns the house and asks why they visited him. It's been ages since he left, and he is now in charge, so he can kick him out and return him to being a fugitive if he doesn't like his answer. Angelica confirms that they are indeed fugitives, but Sarin finds this hard to believe. To her, the couple looks so nice. They didn't commit any crime and are in this position because her boyfriend feels it's better to be on the run than to inherit his grandfather's property. But Owen informs them that Baroff isn't after them anymore. Now it's some guy named Nikolai. Seeing as they don't know who that is, he mocks them for being so focused on being chased that they don't know who is chasing after them. He then accuses them of being broke, but she assures him money isn't a problem for them, pointing out that she has enough to sustain them. While the tensions continue to rise, Sarin sits there vividly lost, praying they are not talking about the Russian president. Looks like Angelica notices she is scared, so she eases her nerves by asking her if she likes the food. She actually does and wants more, which she gets, all because Angelica is happy to see her enjoying the meal. Their connection has been warm throughout, but then she questions Sarin about how she is feeling, since she doesn't look too good. Owen reads more into the question than supposed and covers her multicolored eyes. He then warns his cousin to caution his partner if he doesn't want her winding up dead. Sarin just ignores him and his pride and inquires from Angelica how things in Korea have been. Owen's cousin replies that he is not dumb and he understands what she is trying to do. The way he responds leaves her surprised. It's now clear to her that he can see she isn't asking about the well-being of the country, but if she is allowed to go back to it. Even his partner can see what Sarin is trying to do. To prevent any further misunderstanding, she promises her that Owen's cousin is no nice guy. Because of her ties with the family, she claims to have an idea of what Sarin is going through. But just to be sure, she wants to know if she was kidnapped or trapped. Angelica confesses that Owen's cousin, who she identifies as Kirill, kidnapped her at first. She got to know him better as they became fugitives together, and suspects Sarin is in the same situation because Owen and her man are alike. She isn't far from the truth, and she isn't done talking when Sarin interrupts her, accusing her of being offered a ton of money for her to stay with Kirill. If it's not that, she feels he might have promised her he'd take care of her child or something else. She makes it clear that whatever their reason for being together has nothing to do with her. She is just Owen's dog walker. The room goes silent upon this confession, as their guest can't believe she is the one taking care of the dogs Owen treats like humans. Angelica wants to know if that's why she is stuck here, but she is here because of her nephew who is really sick and Owen offered to help with his treatment. Owen concurs, adding that he told her about how his grandfather cares a lot about blood ties. She admits she didn't expect him to care that much about those ties, but Owen then adds that Hayan is definitely going to get the best treatment. After all, that's the price he has to pay for such an expensive dog walker. All the blabbing gets to Kirill, who gets up abruptly, declaring he can't listen any further. Angelica, who is loving the discussion, asks him where he is going, but then he takes her hand. Although she is confused, she tags along apologizing and promising they'll be right back. Finally, Owen and Sarin are alone, allowing them to discuss freely. So he tells her that Yuri contacted him. He informed him that Hayan had arrived safely. Hearing this prompts her to ask if she can call to hear from the kid, and she can, but after the boy's medical checkups. That aside, he wants to talk about her trust in him. He knows she still doesn't trust him, and that makes him feel so disappointed. What disappoints him the most is that she tried to get answers from their visitors in front of him. Hearing this makes her feel she is suspicious of him, yet that's not the case. She just wanted to be sure, and since that's her claim, he chooses to blindly trust her this once. Now that that's settled, she immediately brings up her desire to see Hayan and pleads that he let her do so. Owen assures Sarin that she will see the child, but after his medical examination is complete and he gets some rest. She is obviously happy about his positive response, but then he asks why she is so concerned about the child when he isn't even hers. He can't understand that because he suffered at the hands of others while growing up. But Sarin is different. After her mother died, leaving her with a huge debt, and Hayan got sick, she had enough reason to abandon him but didn't. Maybe it's because she felt sorry for her sister and thought taking care of her child was the best way to honor her memory. She recounts the day she got the call that her sister had passed. Even before she took the call, she knew it was bad news. After receiving the notice of her sister's death, she planned to go drink away her pain while staring at her sister's picture. She was already at the door, ready to head out when she glanced over at Hayan by accident. After looking at him, she couldn't bring herself to drink anymore. She lives on believing that if she had done things differently, Irin would still be alive today, and that haunts her. Long story short, she believes her reasons are not as noble as he thinks they are. She tells herself she is looking out for her sister's kid because she needs a reason to live for, and he is that reason. At the end of her story, Owen informs her that he doesn't see her differently. If his twin died leaving him with a similar position, he would have done the same thing she did. The more he discovers about her, the more interesting she becomes to him. He sees her as someone who could have taken care of herself, but was always willing to get in the mud for others. He advises her that there are things she will never realize until she has the right footing. He then asks her what she thinks about their little relationship. She replies that she doesn't know, but that makes him start flirting with her, only to get interrupted by Kirill, who has returned and wants to go hunting. The ladies stay back while the guys go out to bond. But before they leave, Angelica warns him not to kill anyone in the name of hunting. She is probably talking about Owen, and he assures her he won't. He'll just have a small talk with his target. Owen, who looks like he is also preparing for a fight, takes off his bandages and jokes about not being able to shoot well if he has them on. He instructs Sarin to wait for him and not say anything unnecessary, and heads out with Kirill. As soon as the guys are some meters away from the cottage, the girls get to chatting and gossiping about the guys and how persistent they are. According to Angelica, no matter where they go, they'll find them and share a little of her story. First, she starts her take by confessing it was her who suggested they run away together, instead of them hiding. To her, it supports the saying, "Sometimes the darkest spots are found under the lamp." Now that Barov is no longer looking for them, they have to worry about his maternal grandfather, Nikolai, who is suddenly interested in them. Hearing this makes Sarin ask if life on the run is hard, but according to Angelica, because they have money, they wouldn't know. However, she does find it discomforting that they can't stay in the same place for long. She craves being able to settle down, which she can't get for now. Well, that's enough with her. Now she wants to know how Sarin ended up with Owen. Without sugarcoating anything, she confesses that their meeting was one of the worst scenarios her poor decision-making led her to. Nevertheless, even if she could go back to before she met him, the outstanding debt and taking care of Hayan put her in this position. Angelica understands her, as she also had no other choice than to run away with Kirill. At first, she thought he was the craziest person ever, but now she finds it funny that she felt that way. With time, she has grown fond of him, and even though she knows he is her opposite, she feels like there is no one else in the world for her. She can tell Sarin doesn't feel that way about Owen yet, and warns her to quit before that happens. Yet, it's not like she can turn back now. After she met with Hayan's biological father, she'd rather it was actually Owen, because he treats her better. Angelica, who knows a little about the crazy family, understands what she means. The men in the family are good at winding people up, but Sarin is certain that won't happen to her. She has already agreed to stay with Owen and keep to his terms. If she hadn't stayed by his side, she would have been looking for a world of problems and would probably have turned back to alcohol, or died as Irin did. For her sake, she hopes he is right. The ladies chat some more before they finally call it a night and have breakfast together by morning. They are about to start another round of discussions when they hear sounds that let them know the guys are back. Angelica really wants to see what they caught and goes to welcome Kirill, who has a few patches of blood on him. Upon the stains, he wants a hug, one she doesn't give him, ordering him to go shower first. She wants to know what they caught, and he tells her they got a wolf and something else. The next thing she wants to know is if he's injured, a question he wants her to answer herself after she checks his body. He even wants to get intimate, but she scolds him, while Sarin leaves them because she suspects something is wrong. There's no sign of Owen, but there's a trail of blood that she follows, leading her outside. To her surprise, the trail doesn't stop there, leading her to an abandoned warehouse where she finds Owen knocked out cold on a chair, covered in blood. She worries that he might be dead, but then he asks her if she had any sleep, since she looks like she didn't have any. In the warehouse is the wolf the guys hunted, and it reeks the smell of blood, making her feel uncomfortable. Nevertheless, she ignores that feeling when he calls her, and when he asks if she didn't say anything unnecessary like he instructed her, she tells him she let her guard down a bit. Hearing this makes him pick a knife and cut the wolf some more to taunt her, making her want to puke in the process. According to him, his grandfather had the hobby of dissecting animals, a hobby he passed on to his grandsons. To honor that hobby, when he and Kirill went out to hunt, they played a little game. The rules were simple. Whoever got the biggest animal without damaging its body that much, won. As a result of the game, the biggest wolf they caught has few marks on the head, meaning it should be perfect for dissecting. In the end, the only thing they can use from the wolf is its hide. After telling her this little tale, he admits he finds it strange that she didn't puke, like she did the last time she saw something similar. He then takes off his shirt and calls her closer once more to tell her all he has observed about Kirill so far. He had known him as a guy who lived a life of standing tall in the walls he built from the blood of others. That odd lifestyle of his made him view Kirill as some kind of weirdo, but oddly enough, he is starting to understand him now. Soon after that declaration, he runs himself a shower, cleansing himself as he sees that he is not too different from Kirill, who he hates. Like him and Angelica, he wants to do whatever it takes to keep Sarin by his side. It seems he isn't the only one feeling this way. Last night, when the guys went to hunt, she stayed up, staring at the window, waiting for Owen to return. That made Angelica uncomfortable, and she wanted to ask her why she was waiting so anxiously for Owen. Even though she knows he is more of a poison than medicine for her, and it's dangerous to keep getting closer to him, yet she can't stay away. She doesn't understand what they have, but he explains it to her as an addict failing back to what'll hurt her. He suspects she craves a moment with him, but she claims she is just sleepy. That excuse should have gotten her off the hook, but it doesn't, and they end up getting intimate. Once they are done, she dozes off in Owen's arms, allowing him to think properly for the time being. Yet all he can think about is her. He doesn't understand why she is in his arms at the moment, but he still feels anxious. That's probably because he feels like this moment of peace they are having is so weak that it will crumble in time. But he banks his hopes on the fact that she recovered from an alcohol addiction once, seeing that as enough reason for her not to leave him. Even if she tried, he can't let that happen. But little does he know that in the near future, things are going to go south. For now, he and Kirill have a chat about Kirill returning. He wants Owen to tell Nikolai that he has no intention of coming back, but Owen would rather he do that by himself. He would, but he hates the thought of meeting the man. Yet Owen doesn't see that as enough reason for him to go through the trouble of representing him. Still, Kirill persists, adding that he is making this request because Nikolai favors Owen, who taunts him, claiming his favor comes from the fact that he was a healthy child. Apparently, Nikolai favored healthy children. Why? Because he didn't get that many healthy grandchildren. That automatically made him value the healthy ones. Unfortunately for Kirill, he was born with a liver problem. This was an issue his father, Berov, solved immediately by implanting him with the liver of a son he had from an external affair. That was to rid him of his weakness and allow him to present Kirill to Nikolai. As powerful as Berov was, even though he didn't dare challenge Nikolai's authority, yet he challenged that man's authority, disobeyed his father, and ran. He just couldn't stand it when he discovered that he was living with his half-brother's liver, that his father selfishly transplanted into him. Kirill agrees he is healthy, but also talks about how Owen is healthy, as he made it all the way back from Ireland. It looks like those words give him a lot to think about, until the thought of Sarin slips into his mind. The thought of Sarin forces this look on his face that his cousin can't understand. When he asks what the look is for, Owen ignores him at first, before admitting that he is certain he is in a better situation than Kirill. Hearing that gets him thinking. First, he considers the possibility of Owen being right, as he can sense that Barov truly must have let him go, but he still has Nikolai to contend with. Then he thinks about how, since he is now one of his few healthy grandchildren, he probably wants him to take over from Barov. If that's truly the case, he knows Nikolai will not give up. He is not the type to give up easily. When he is done thinking, he returns his attention to Owen, assuring him that he came all the way here to have a word with their grandfather. He wanted to let the old man know he didn't want anything from him. All he really wants is to be with Angelica, because she has been through a lot with him. Silently, he thinks about how he might kill Nikolai if he had the chance. Owen doesn't care, and taunts Kirill, comparing him to a dog that will take meat whenever it falls from the table. It's a rude remark, but it bounces off him, and he wants to know if Sarin knows the reason why Hayan is ill. Mentioning Sarin is a line Owen doesn't like people crossing, so he warns Kirill to mind his business and watch his mouth. Deep down, he knows he has already told half the truth about Hayan's illness. Nikolai is equal to all his children, whether from a proper marriage or an affair, but that grace is only for the healthy ones. Still, that doesn't matter much now because the child is under his protection, so he didn't completely lie to her. Since they are talking about Hayan, Owen reveals to Kirill that Yuri might be with him, which surprises him. He can't believe Yuri is still helping him cover his mess. For some reason, that news annoys him to the point that he storms out of the room. As he leaves, Yuri walks in and asks him what he is doing here. He ignores the question and asks about Hayan. According to Yuri, the boy is more lively than he thought, and when he told him he worked for his dad, he listened to him keenly. The boy is probably asleep now, but they have to wait a little for his medical report. That's good news to Owen, but then Yuri informs him about Pavel's interest in the boy. He didn't know he had a child, and it's normal that he is freaking out because of it now. Normally, he made sure the women he was with did away with their pregnancy. Even when they refused, he would handle them quietly, making sure nothing got to Nikolai's ears. Owen, out of anger, wishes he had ended Pavel long ago to prevent this, but Yuri warns him not to speak nonsense, as they both know Nikolai wouldn't have let that slide. Away from that, Yuri takes a seat and reminds him about the time he got scolded for not bringing Owen back on time to meet Nikolai when Owen came back to the country. This means he is here to take him back to Eden City, but first he wants to know how Sarin is doing. Like Hayan, she is asleep. He then wants to know if Owen is satisfied, now that he has confirmed she was an addict. He is, and has fallen for every aspect of her, even her drunkenness. He has also noticed she doesn't give up easily, but that look in his eyes worries Yuri. It's the same look he has when he is looking at his dogs, meaning he might have similar feelings for her to the point that he kept acting nice in front of her. It sounds like a reasonable conclusion, but he also considers the possibility of that look being a result of Owen's self-negativity. He believes every human has a dark, twisted side and may just be happy he found hers. Whatever it is, for their sake, he suggests Owen stop everything here. No matter what the blood tests say, he knows keeping Sarin involved will not be good for her, yet Owen still ignores him. For now, he wants to get the test results as soon as they are out. For Sarin, she comes with him and they will take care of the kid together. It shocks Yuri how obsessed Owen is with Sarin. It doesn't even seem like he sees her as a plaything anymore. This scares him, but Owen calms him down by asking him to choose between him or Nikolai. He wants him to choose the person he feels will live longer, and he knows that's him. He also knows he is the only one who cares about his well-being and bows to him as a show of loyalty. As this goes on, a few rooms away, Sarin is having a nightmare that makes her feel like she is drowning. After some minutes, she wakes up realizing she was dreaming. She is probably glad it was a dream and wonders how Hayan is doing. She is more worried about him now because of the nightmare, until her mind goes to her aching hip. At the moment, she is experiencing a hangover, and she usually wakes up with them after she drinks. She hasn't done any drinking now, but back in Korea, she couldn't sleep much because she had to wake up early for work. She needed alcohol to be able to sleep, so she couldn't stop drinking it. Today, she has woken up feeling hungover. She wonders if it's Owen that put her in this state of mind. She's still trying to understand what's going on when she hears a knock on her door and immediately adjusts herself. At the door is Angelica, who wants to know if she woke her up. She assures her she didn't, and that's fine with Angelica, who came to hand her clothes to her. Her doing this means she understands what's up, so Sarin tries to explain. However, before she can, she is stopped. It's no surprise that Angelica understands what she is going through. Because of Kirill, she has been in similar positions as well. She is relieved to hear this and thanks her for her kindness, hoping to pay her back someday for her kindness. To Angelica, that won't be necessary. After all, she is lending her a hand that she wished someone lent her in the past. Aside from that, she came here to say goodbye, as they will be leaving soon. Being told about their sudden departure hurts Sarin a bit, but she has to go. Something came up and they had to leave as soon as possible. That something is actually Nikolai, and he is getting closer to their location. His arrival will not guarantee their safety, that's just how he is, so they shouldn't be around when he shows up. She notices the sad look on Sarin's face and fills her in on a little secret to help her feel better. That secret is that she and Kirill are going to Eden City, meaning they will be meeting again soon. The news is a shocker to Sarin, but it's Kirill's idea. He feels it's better they stay at Eden City, right under Nikolai's nose, the last place he will search for them. That means they'll definitely meet again, and she can rely on her whenever she needs help. After saying that, she gives her a notepad with a cell phone number, and when she asks why, Angelica explains it's so that she doesn't make the same choices she did. She was determined to go through it all, even though it was pretty tough. She's giving her the number so she'll have who to call and talk to, but she doesn't get it. Then there's the issue of all her decisions complicating her life even more, and after coming this far, she still doesn't know what to do. Angelica's advice to her is that it's always like this in the beginning. She didn't choose to be with Kirill, having it in mind that all this would happen, but choices made are not things one can revert to when they've gone through with them. She wants her to have that in mind and not blame herself too much. Fast forward to some time after they've left, she has the note in hand, happy and focused on the fact that Angelica knows how to calm other people's hearts. She genuinely hopes they meet again, but when she gets to the living room, searching for Owen, she meets someone she isn't too happy to see. Immediately, he spots her. However, he tells her that Owen is at the warehouse. He's there leathering the animal skin, and that reminds her of their intimate session not too long ago. Now that he thinks of it, he can see how Owen can read Sarin so easily. He then promises her she doesn't have to worry about Pavel. She replies that she isn't worried about that guy, but is worried about how she would tell Hayan that man is his father. Yuri, however, feels she might not have to do that. He recalls Owen's instructions earlier concerning the test results and his wanting to take care of Hayan and Sarin, and suspects that was his way of confessing his love for her. When she asks what he is talking about, he claims it's nothing, but his thoughts are still on the issue at hand. He knows the only reason why his boss went out of his way to find Pavel was to shake Sarin's world like she shook his. By doing that, he found a gap in her, and now she cannot leave his side. She doesn't know all this, and is more concerned about if Hayan will be able to adapt here or not. Yuri is sure he will, since he'll be under Owen's protection, but still, that's not reassuring enough for her. According to her, everything feels dangerous, and he wants to know if she is talking about Eden City or Owen. Apparently, she feels both are dangerous. To Yuri, she is getting it all wrong. Owen is the way he is because of how he was raised, and if it was Pavel, things would have been much worse. In other words, what he is trying to say is that Owen is her best option. Her doubt pushes Yuri to tell her Owen's story, and it's really something if you ask me. He was the kid who grew up in Ireland, living with his mother who was into prostitution. He lived that way until the boss called to take him back. By that time, he was living in a basement that was not fitting for anyone to live in. He already had the dogs by the time they found him, and they suspected he grew up there all those years. His origin story reminds her of the day he told her that as he grew older, he was told his eyes looked more like his brother's. She finally gets it, but confesses that she thought he was joking. Yuri is stunned when she says this. He hadn't expected Owen to tell her this story. It isn't a secret per day, but even those who hate him and know about his roots never use it to bother him. No one is stupid enough to mess with Owen and Nikolai, and the old man has plans for him. Since the wealth and power of the group are maintained through the generations, even though Owen is the son of the prostitute, his grandfather wants him to marry into a good family to maintain a strong lineage and solidify their influence. Owen is Nikolai's perfect grandchild, but he has one issue with him, and that's his lack of interest in women. Shockingly, all that changed when Sarin arrived. Nevertheless, he advises her not to do anything that will keep Owen's attention on her. He wants her to act in a way that will make Owen lose interest in her. She immediately wants to know what will happen to her when he loses interest in her, and he informs her that if he does, she will be able to go back home with Hayan. They might even get to leave with a good amount of money, an option she actually considers. Before they know it, Owen enters, drenched in rain, suspecting that they are talking about him. To ease the tension, she claims it's nothing, but Owen doesn't buy that excuse. He already heard them talking about his past in Ireland. Now he wanted to know everything they discussed. Both Sarin and Yuri are scared, but then he calms them down by asking them not to jump to conclusions. He just wants to know what he told her, as he doesn't want her to start imagining bar stuff about what they have. She still feels a bit uncomfortable, so Owen orders Yuri to send the wolf hide to Orbis, and he leaves to do it, allowing Sarin and him to talk better. But instead of talking, she admires his drenched frame and things start getting heated. Before we know it, the pair are heartbeats away from each other, and Owen promises her his plans for the wolf hide. Turns out the wolf they caught yesterday was a great prize, so he intends on making the hide a suitable outfit for her and giving it to her as a gift. He then tells her that he knows it was Yuri that started the conversation and wants to know why she looks like the one who was at fault. She claims she doesn't know. Honestly, he is offended by Yuri's behavior. He gave him clear instructions, only for him to disobey and do what he wanted, but he'll handle that later. For now, he wants to spend quality time with Sarin. They do, until Yuri walks in on them, putting everything on hold. Fortunately for Sarin, Owen covers her just in time, saving her from serious embarrassment. But Yuri, after Owen tells him to get lost, just informs him that he has a car waiting outside and he can come when he's done. When he leaves, Sarin scolds him for not listening to her after she warned him to stop. She felt someone would walk in on them a while back, and when she told him, he ignored her. Owen, on the other hand, can see she is feeling really embarrassed, but they have to head back now, since keeping Nikolai waiting at a time like this is not a good idea. As soon as he reaches that conclusion, he tells her that they are going back to the city, so she asks to see Hayan. Owen is cool with that. Since she behaved well during their time here, he feels he has to give her a prize. With that settled, the pair head to the car where Yuri is waiting and start their journey back to Eden City. During the drive, Sarin thinks about how they left when it was still bright outside, and now it's getting dark and they still haven't arrived. During her deep thought, she glances at the car window, catches Owen staring at her, and confronts him. She demands to know why he is staring at her that way. But then he starts spouting nonsense about how they didn't finish up and how he would like to finish up in the car. She plays ignorant, acting like she doesn't know what he is talking about. But then he breaks it to her that he might not come to see her for some time when they arrive at the city. When that time comes, all he wants her to do is peacefully wait for him. She doesn't even have to take the dogs for a walk during that period. To show how serious it is, but she cares about the dogs, and out of that care, she reminds him that he had said taking the dogs for walks was important. Owen assures her that Yuri will handle the walks, and when he hears this, he panics and almost swerves out of the road. Her focus is on the fact that they are almost at the city and she hopes to see Hayan soon. Before she knows it, a truck comes from out of nowhere, but Owen gets to her before it knocks the car off the road and into the river. It happens so fast that Sarin can't even comprehend, and before she knows it, she's already drowning. When she realizes this, she hustles her way out of the car, almost about to lose her breath when she struggles to swim out of the river and back to the surface where she finally gets some fresh air. On the surface, she notices that Owen isn't there, just an injured Yuri who starts panicking. Sarin is conflicted on whether she should jump in and save him or not. When Yuri tells her Owen can't swim, she finally makes that decision, hoping back into the river where Owen has accepted his fate. He is about to give up totally when Sarin holds on to him, giving him newfound hope. Still, it's hard for her to breathe, but then he hugs her, making things harder for her. It's like he knows she is low on oxygen, and to help her with that, he does mouth to mouth, giving her enough oxygen needed for her to pull them both out of the cold river. Even after she sacrificed herself to pull off a daring rescue, all Yuri cares about is Owen's well-being. Meanwhile, Sarin is struggling to breathe because of how cold she is. Owen can tell something is wrong, so he hands her over to Yuri, and he immediately knows what to do. But just to be clear, he warns him not to let her die. If he does, he promises not to forgive him. That's the charge he gives the poor guy before he heads out to hunt down the cause of their accident. Turns out it wasn't just some random accident, but actually a planned hit. Someone wants him dead, and his agents want to confirm if he is dead or not. They hope the attack was enough to end him and debate on whether or not it's necessary to confirm he's dead. Well, they should have confirmed, as letting their guard down has made the hunters become the prey. To their surprise, he sneaks up behind them, tossing one off the bridge before focusing his attention on the other guy. But once he pulls out a machine gun, all the other hitmen come out of hiding and run for their lives. Unfortunately for them, Owen doesn't miss, hitting every single one of them before calming down to observe the carnage he created. Amidst that carnage, he left one man to interrogate him. He recalls his victim speaking with a Moscow City accent earlier and wants him to answer just one question. Before he asks the E question, his men flood him, wanting to know if he's okay. He assures them he is and instructs them to go below the bridge and bring back a certain lady without a scratch. They then ask what they should do with the survivor, but Owen can't really say. The man wants to be spared, but it's like his begging to be spared is what pushes Owen to end his life. By the time he is done with the man, a few of his henchmen rush back with Sarin, informing him that she is still conscious. He can see she looks weak, like she will break at any moment, another good person being punished for the sins of a bad man. As he carries her to the car so they can rush to the hospital, he can tell she is freezing. He acknowledges that she is a brave woman, but also that her pure heart is the cause of her misfortune. She once said she couldn't die now, and he disagrees. It's not like she can't die, but she is desperate to find the right time to do so. To help with her freezing, he warms her up but concludes she really wants to die because she risked so much to save him when he doesn't have blood ties with her. No one else has ever dived into water like that for her, even when he was in a cold pool of water struggling or when he was thrown into that dark basement. He was certain he was destined to die alone no matter what. To think someone would be willing to actually put their lives in danger for him is something he didn't expect to happen so suddenly. In the end, he believes she might regret this risk, but that'll be later. For now, he rushes her to the hospital, where she wakes up shocked that she is alive. Yuri is also surprised she woke up so soon. Since she is okay, she wants to know how Owen is doing. She is asking because she doesn't know he's all good, handling business. A few minutes back, just as Sarin woke up, she was certain she was going to die that time. Even when she thinks about it, the only thing that stands out to her is how cold it is. That was when Yuri walked in, shocked that she had woken up. She then asked him about Owen, and he told her he had to go do something for a moment. She was content with the response, only for him to force himself to add a thank you to it. She never expected that Yuri would thank her for anything, but what she did back at the bridge earned her his respect. They were all in the car when it crashed, but after he and her got out and Owen was drowning, she did hesitate to jump back in to get him. He thanks her for carrying out his job for him and protecting Owen when he couldn't. He is genuinely grateful for the act of kindness. To his surprise, after being thanked, she asks about the well-being of the truck driver who knocked them off the bridge. Before he can say anything, she innocently adds that the accident must have been caused by the narrow bridge. Her suspicion leaves him speechless. He thought she saw it that evening, the look of distraught and disappointment that he had. Normally, she should have thought he put his own safety above Owen's, a proper conclusion to reach. But she didn't. It's clear that if she keeps acting like this, she will end up being used by others. An attitude like this is bad for a place like Eden City. It's an unstable place where money comes and goes every day. Owen became its head after years of gruesome wars. If he died in that accident, the war would have started again, and it wouldn't have stopped until Nikolai was dead. If that happened, things would have strayed away from the way Nikolai wanted them, and the wealth of their family would be hindered by constant conflicts. Fast forward to the present, after considering all these things, he spreads the news of Sarin's bravery to their head. He advises her to use that to her advantage, but all she wants is for Hayan to get the best treatment. She's also in debt to Owen, but since her dog walker's salary is so good that she feels she might be able to pay him back soon. Hearing this hits Yuri hard and prompts him to wish her a nice and long life. As a show of kindness, he reveals to her that Hayan is in the same hospital with her and offers to take her to him if she can move now. Since she can, and she is excited to see him, silently he thinks about how Sarin is okay with not asking for more than she needs, and she knows her place even if it means her being used all her life. People like her hardly do reckless things, but from now on, he knows she will have to do reckless things. Elsewhere, Owen is still handling business and looks very bored. Before him is a bald man, probably begging to be spared when a woman comes in, mistaking him for Pavel. She wants to know what he is doing with so many people and asks him to accompany her to a room, but his men try to stop her. He then signals them to let her in and sneakily declares that Pavel must come here often. It's clear this woman doesn't know Pavel is a twin and laughs because she feels he is speaking in the third person. Still, she is glad he came here as she was eager to get intimate with him again. But he dismisses her rudely, claiming his body still smells like dirty water. His mind goes back to Sarin, who he needs to protect. After all, things escalated to this level because Pavel threatened her safety, with the hope of using her to get Owen out of his way. He trusts Pavel as a man of his word and orders his men to send the woman out. She still doesn't know what's going on, but his target is panicking, becoming even more scared when he is bound to a chair and Owen reaches into his suit. He was expecting a gun, but it wasn't that, but a lighter he got from one of the hitmen, which he uses to light a cigarette. By doing this, he scares his captive to the point that he starts begging to be spared again. The begging earns him a beatdown. That's because Owen was kind enough to spare this man's life once and states that if someone's life was spared once, he is to do better with that second chance. Wait, that's the kingpin-sized man from the Red Mafia who swindled Sarin the day she met him. After receiving a good beatdown, he begs that it wasn't him who called the hit, but Pavel. His confession doesn't change anything. After all, the woman who pleaded for him is in the hospital right now because of the scheme he pulled. For that, he will have to pay the price for carrying out Pavel's orders. He wants to know why, and Owen claims it's because he doesn't value his life. If he did, he wouldn't have done something as stupid as coming after Owen. Now his life is in the hands of the person he wanted to end. Sarin gets all fancied up for her meeting Hayan and heads out to see him with a bold smile on her face. He is very happy to see her and asks why she is just coming to see him now when he misses her so much. Soon after they unite, a woman walks up to them and introduces herself as Han Yujin, the interpreter. Sarin follows suit, introducing herself to the interpreter. After her introduction, Hayan brags about how pretty she is. It's a kind comment, but it makes her feel a bit sad. Despite how close they seem, she hasn't been a big part of his life. Because of how tough their lives were, she was busy working day and night. With the amount of jobs she had to do, she only got to see Hayan when the hospital called her directly for some issue. Still, when that happened, she only had time to see him very early or very late, when he was probably asleep. She didn't think a child like him would be fine with such a situation, but that didn't stop him from accepting it. When she asks if he took his medicine properly, he affirms that he did, and she praises him for being brave. Suddenly, she notices that he has lost weight, but is glad he looks happy. Maybe he's happy because he's excited to see his father, and she's right, as he asks her if his dad is still busy. She replies that he is, but that doesn't kill the young lad's joy. He remains happy because he is here, and his father will be seeing him soon. It's quite sad that mere minutes after they reunite, they have to part ways, just so she can keep Hayan safe for the time being. Nevertheless, she is relieved to see that he is doing well. He's loving the place, and it looks like Owen is taking care of him better than she expected. As she walks into the hotel, the dogs rush to welcome her, but Bluey goes first. From the silence in the house at the time, she can tell Owen isn't back yet, and goes over to the couch to allow her to pet the dogs better. While petting them, she starts feeling like Owen and even starts talking to the dogs. She wants to know if they like Pavel, even after how badly he treated them. She's asking this because even though they didn't relate to him the way they did with Owen, she could tell they were friendly to him. Even if they have forgiven him, she hasn't and has a personal beef with him for kicking the dogs. Out of concern, she apologizes to them, suspecting they must be feeling lonely because Owen is not around, and promises them that he is okay. Her love for the dogs is remarkable, but she is tired and decides to lean back a little to get some shut-eye out of exhaustion. However, as soon as she closes her eyes, scenes of the accident play back in her mind. Although she did her best to seem okay in front of Hayan, she can no longer hide the fact that the accident really messed with her head. She keeps recalling the feeling of the truck collision and is thankful for Owen, who saved her before she even realized what was going on. That could have been her end, and she wonders why he took such a risk when he knew he couldn't swim. She concludes that he is strange, after which she feeds the dogs. While watching them eat, she feels sorry for them because they seem so hungry, and she wasn't there to feed them. After feeding them, Sarin sits up waiting for Owen to return, not knowing how long it will take. Before she knows it, she notices the dogs are drawn to something. Owen. She's glad to see him, but also realizes that he has caught her in a position that makes it look like she was waiting for him all along. She then feels a bit off because he is staring at her in a scary way, like she did something wrong. Soon, his frown turns to a smile, and before she can ask how he is, he interrupts her with a kiss. It's a beautiful reunion. Enjoying this so far? Comment Sarin below for part 3. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ciao!